without the benefit of hindsight.
See that?
Correct.
So
It's
say
called
that.
the ground
Don't lie and
test.
say she hit him with a
ground
car.
That's what matters.
Don't lie and say she hit him with a car. Say that.
No, that's not a lie. That's a fact. And it's recorded.
Show me the
But-
video where he hit with a car.
It doesn't matter.
I
If you
told you
apply
about
the
this
ground
time.
test, it doesn't matter whether she hit him or not. The law is the ground test.
That's the assault.
Okay,
That's
you're
true.
right.
That's true. That's
I
the
got
assault
up here. I
part.
wasn't even going to say nothing until I heard
That's an
all
authoritative
three
If
of the
you
videos.
really want to
Hit him with
understand
a
it,
car.
go look at what everybody misses. Go look at the tires spinning on the ice. Nobody gets the fact that the tires spun on the ice. She revved the engine. You don't hear it. When you see the tires spinning on the ice,
She was
you go,
probably nervous.
that's a little interesting.
She was probably nervous. You know, and listen.
Obviously, she
Oh,
was.
yeah, but-
It was a fatal error on her part.
I thought she wasn't mad at him. How was she nervous? I'm not mad at you. I thought she wasn't mad.
It's a fatal error.
So anyway,
And wait a minute.
So this is what I said.
William.
Ron said, right? Is that and I get it. You guys are probably gonna get right back to it, but I'm just saying we could have a lot more productive and, in my opinion, interesting and fun conversation actually debating like ideology and philosophy, like political ideology and philosophy. I mean,
Well, you failed at that, Truth.
Okay, come on.
You fumbled
Come on,
that
just
one.
let me get it out. Okay, I'm big bozo, big dumb black boy. Anyway,
I didn't say
We
that.
could
That's
actually-
you.
we
It's
could
Black
actually-
History Month, I know.
Dumb black boy.
there you go. You dropped it twice now. But anyway,
Correct. And the night
but
is
no,
young.
we could be arguing actual premises. This is just opinion. We're gonna go back and forth. It's boring.
No, this
I
is
don't-
not
No,
opinion.
we're stating the law. There's a
Oh
difference. We're
my
stating the
God,
law. You guys
bro.
are trying to throw an opinion at us.
But you already know.
No
Don't you
opinion
already
here.
know what the leftist take on this is? What?
It doesn't matter what the leftist take is. You read the
I'm not
fucking
even sure
law.
what that
You
means.
don't even
Okay.
have to call it.
Watch this. Hold on.
Hold on. Wait.
Are you trying to say the leftists are liars?
Give me
I
a
refuse
second.
to believe
No,
Truth.
we don't agree with
Truth.
you.
On what?
Okay, Truth. Do
On
you agree
almost
that Ashley
anything,
Babbitt should have been shot?
apparently.
Do you
Well,
believe
then
Ashley
you're in
Babbitt should have
trouble
been
then
shot?
because you can't build a life built on lies, Truth.
Okay,
You should be learning that.
But see how I
You
did
should
call
change
you
your
a
name
liar?
to lies then.
See how I did call you a liar? though? I
Change
said
your name to lies.
disagree.
You called me everything under the sun already. You forgot?
No, I did that.
Are you
after that's
smoking
not
weed
that
right
little
now?
Black joke. No,
I beg
you
your
made
pardon?
You made a
Are you
slick ass
smoking
black
weed?
joke.
I made a black joke?
Yes,
What's a
and
black
that's
joke?
why you're smiling when you're saying it.
Who
You're such a-
says that I'm smiling? Are you schizophrenic right now?
You got it. You
No,
got
This
it.
isn't
what they
audio
do. It's
act,
You got it,
projection.
Norm.
Just so that you
Projection,
know.
normal. It's
What's that?
projection.
Smiling
He's
while
trying
you
to
die,
project.
Norm, and I can hear
Oh,
it.
he's projecting?
It's working.
Yeah.
You can hear me smiling? Are you schizophrenic? There's something, do you know what
Black.
synesthesia is?
Norm, you're old enough. Smile when you die. Like,
Synesthesia, do you taste colors too?
yeah, I got the Kanye West disease too. I do.
Well, we understand that the left does taste color.
Have you taken your medication today?
Nah, I'm
Maybe
free
that's
balling.
the issue.
I'm free balling, Norm. I'm off some shoes.
Maybe that's the issue. Put on some underwear and take your medication and then have this conversation.
Well, no, it's bad for your balls, Norm.
I think you need to put it on. I think you need to put it on. I thought I smelled something and now I'm starting to gag a little bit.
Oh my God! I don't even got to come back. I'm not that vicious. Well,
You're not that smart or funny, is what
you're
you're
right.
not.
I'm a big bozo. Everyone says so.
I didn't say that. I just said you're not that smart or funny.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah. So this is just opinion back and forth. We don't agree.
No, we're talking about
We
fact now.
don't.
We
We
can talk
don't
about
even see
opinion
the
next.
same video the same, bro. Do you not realize?
Well, no, it's not that we don't see it the same. It's that you're lying.
Okay, but I'm not calling you a liar.
Well, I'm saying you're
'Cause
lying.
that's just useless. Okay, bro.
Sure,
No,
it
it's
might
not.
be.
Is I'm good faith enough to genuinely believe that you're just so different than me. You see it different, but you're like, no, you're lying.
people don't
Meanwhile,
no,
ironically, see
no,
him post a picture
no.
that clearly shows him not being hit, and then the argument.
How can you show a picture of something not
then
happening?
Then he fucking moved the
Wait.
goalpost.
Explain.
It
I
doesn't
want to
matter if
understand this.
contact
Hang
was
on.
made anyway.
How do you take
I
a
want
picture
to
of
have
something
this
that didn't
argument.
happen?
It's boring.
Slow down, Truth.
God
How did you
damn.
take a picture of something that did not happen?
Here we
Explain that
go.
one.
This is just fucking disingenuous.
I'm listening.
What?
I'm listening. Show me a picture of something that did not happen.
The picture's proving it didn't happen.
How could a still picture prove something didn't happen?
Do you want to watch the video together?
No. I want you to answer my question.
I know you don't.
Answer my question.
The
How can a
picture shows
picture?
him before and after shooting. At no point does the car make contact with his body.
The
That's
car hit his torso.
Okay, Norm.
So everybody
Agree to
is
disagree,
lying.
pal, unless you want to review the tape.
And you can see
But you
it.
don't
from
want to
his-
do that. So what do we do?
I've reviewed it 1,000 times. in fact.
You're pissing,
You're
I'm
lying
pissing.
again.
Who pissed further? Like,
Nobody is pissing. One
This
person
is definitely a pissing contest.
One
You don't just
person
want to
is-
review
no,
the tape
it's not
and
a
we
pissing
disagree.
contest.
Is it
maybe
okay?
in your mind is.
So we're arguing about a video, but we're not going to watch it?
No, we're
That's
not.
not
No, I
physical
stated
context?
the fact. You can look at it as many times as you want.
Okay,
look at
so
the one from
got it. You're
look at the
arrogant
one
and I'm
from.
humble. I got
Look
it.
at
I
the.
don't-
No, you're neither one. You're just ignorant.
Sure. I'm right, you're wrong. But I'm
No,
the humble
no,
one. Okay,
no.
brother.
No, so the cop or the Fed agent
You know
shooting
you're
with his
so
cell
full.
phone.
You know you're full of shit.
You
That's
can't
the
even
fuck
let
up.
it out. Now you're being schizophrenic again. Try to put your feet on the ground, both feet, so that you don't pretend that you know what I'm thinking, okay?
Okay,
Or
no.
there's some smiling.
Okay,
in
no.
it. Good,
All right, no.
good. Now you're improving. All right, maybe I can cure you of your madness. So,
Okay.
right? So you hear him go, whoa! And you can hear the car hit him. And then you hear the gunshots fire. That's what happened. Watch the video and you'll see it. And by the way, the crime of assault does not require contact. It requires a meaningful, deadly threat, which is kind
it's
of obvious.
punished by the death
But it's
penalty?
not only against that one
Oh,
cop.
it's punished by the
There's
death
another
penalty?
cop who's. There's another.
Assault is death
Who said
penalty?
death penalty?
Execution by cop
Who
in the
said?
street?
Who said? There's no.
Oh, so he
execution.
thought
Who
he
said
was
death
at risk.
penalty?
He thought he was about to get bodily injured.
But not only did she commit a crime
He
against
needed to
that
kill her,
cop,
or someone would get hurt.
not only did she commit a crime against that cop, there was another cop who had his head and torso and shoulders
Protesting
in the
lesbians.
car.
You gotta put him down, bro. You just gotta
He
put
had
a
one. There was
protesting
another.
lesbian
You're
down.
afraid to hear this. You can see it on the video, by the way. So I want you to watch the video, and I want you to see the cop that has his head and shoulders and torso in the car when she floors it, causing him to be at risk of severe bodily harm or death, which actually happened to the cop that shot her. And it's indisputable.
Okay.
Not only that, so that's two crimes that she's in the process of
You want to
committing.
watch the video?
And then there's a third crime.
You wanna watch the video?
And then there's a third crime of her wife saying, "Drive, baby, drive," right after she uses fighting words to try to fight with the cop. You want to come at me, big boy? Go have lunch, big boy. You want to come at me? You want to come at me?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Those are called fighting words.
Yeah, I agree.
Then she tells her wife to commit a crime, which is assault with a deadly weapon by driving into the cop that's standing in front of the car.
She doesn't tell her to hit him. She says, "Drive, get out of here."
Well, if you tell somebody to drive while a federal agent is standing in front of the car, that's telling her to commit a crime. But that's not all. If you tell somebody to drive while you're being arrested or detained by a federal agent, and that federal agent has his head and shoulders and torso in the car, you're telling her to cause grievous bodily harm to a federal agent, which is what Rebecca did. Rebecca Good. That's correct.
Okay.
So she did.
I already
Yeah,
know your
okay,
take,
indeed.
so I don't.
I beg your pardon?
I already know the conservative take. We had all
There's
these
no
debates
conservative
here.
take. This is just telling you what
That's
happened
why
on the
you've
video
never
in case
found
you
a
forgot.
liberal who agrees with you, and you've never found a conservative who disagrees. Okay, Norm. All right.
Neither of those are true. Both are
Oh, so
lies.
you know conservatives who disagree with you?
Both of those are lies. You said the word never. You
Oh,
lied.
sweet Jesus.
Yes, sweet Jesus.
Not all, but most.
Praise Jesus.
Not all, but most. Hey, we got it covered.
Praise Jesus.
We
Keep
got it
backing off.
covered.
Keep backing off. Pretty soon you'll be back all the way into ignorant
So
land.
not all, but most of the trope. Like
I
someone
beg
said
your
trope.
pardon.
earlier,
I can't
that's
follow you.
hilarious.
Why did you just say 6'7"? 6'7".
No, 6'7" is reference to a guy bragging about committing murder. I think it's pretty deplorable. But no,
I don't think that's what it is at all.
it's literally a song.
No,
where
it's
he
literally
says,
not. You're just full of disinformation tonight.
What the fuck? did
You need to
just
open
say?
the book. I said you're full of disinformation tonight.
Six.
What did
What,
you think
so
I
what is
said?
6'7"? Norm, educate me. What is 6'7"?
Why do you ask?
Because you
told
just said I was wrong.
Yes, you're wrong.
So it didn't
You're
come
wrong.
from Dawn.
You're. No, I didn't say it didn't come from a song. I said it's not about somebody committing murder, as you just said.
So what do you think it's about? What do you think it's about?
So why do you ask?
Because you just said I'm wrong.
Are you backing up now? Show me how it's about somebody committing murder.
I think you said a knee jerk.
Show me how it's about somebody committing murder.
So
Show us. Show the room. The
Okay.
same way that you lost on statistics and on the injustice of the rule of law. I want to
Hold on,
know
real
all
quick,
about
before
I
I
hear
do-
how your mind works tonight.
Before I do, you made the claim.
Yes,
So validate the claim.
no, you made the claim and I refuted it.
No, okay. Listen,
You
fine,
said
fuck it. I'll-
you said you don't want to celebrate somebody who's committing murder.
that's literally what the line is about.
Yes, and I said no, you're wrong. That's right.
So
So
I
now
asked you. So now,
show me that
so
you are
what?
correct. show me that you are correct. I'll concede it.
I'll go get the link for the song and the
Good.
lyrics.
Good.
This is fucking retarded, but fuck it.
Sure.
By the way, who's the artist? Since you know the song.
Skrilla.
This isn't your type of music?
What is that supposed to mean?
I'm just shocked. I'm not judging. I mean, I don't listen to this shit.
Well, I just proved you wrong. You want to go for 5? I got 3 in a row. You want to go for a big 5 tonight?
Okay, so there's the link. No, you proved me wrong.
Yeah, I proved you wrong. Let's hear what Skrilla has to say. Skrilla himself has stated the meaning is meant to be fluid and that he never actually put a meaning on it. So that's 4 out of 5. What would you like to lose on? What's the last thing you want to lose on tonight, Truthy? Truthy guy?
Yeah, that's...
I mean, I'm just quoting the guy who wrote the song. I mean, what do I know?
Hold on.
Hey, that's your kind of music? You white boy? You Jew? Why don't you bring up shekels another time, Truthy boy?
Hey, I did that because you did... Yeah, you started.
Oh, you did it cause.
You
I
started.
did it cause. Oh, I started.
You fucking
Oh, I
started.
did? What did I do? Oh, so in other words, that's your excuse?
Yes,
Oh.
I'm a petty bitch.
Oh, well,
What?
okay. You said it, not me.
Nigga, it takes one to know one.
No, I didn't say you were. You
I
said you
literally
were.
heard your best friends on this app call you petty and say it's a problem
Never.
you have.
You don't even
I
know.
was in the room.
You don't even know a friend. You couldn't
He
name
was
one of my friends.
Jewish. He was Jewish.
I beg your pardon?
He literally said, Normus, one of your problems, you're petty.
Who said that?
Stop.
Who said that?
I don't remember.
You don't. You're just a liar, sir. You're just a liar. You're a common liar.
Norm. On everything I love, bro.
You are a common liar. So
Okay,
you're
all right.
conceding on
You got
Skrilla,
it.
right?
I don't even care anymore.
You're conceding on Skrilla, right?
No.
Right. You're
I
giving
just
up.
wanna
You're
give
not
you- I'm
giving.
looking
You're
for
not
the
conceding. So you know what his lyrics mean, but he does not. That's a little bit arrogant.
Hold on. I haven't even seen him explain it.
Now I said
have
Happy
not
Black
seen him
History Month,
explain it.
and
did
you
put
made
it
an
in the chat.
anti-Jewish slur. So explain that to me. I said Happy Black History Month, and you said you made it.
You said that after mocking my blackness.
I never mocked your blackness. How did I mock your blackness?
Whatever. I
No,
don't
not
remember
whatever.
it,
I
but
know I want to learn
It's been
from
a
you.
lot said.
I
to
want
me.
to learn about race from you, Truth. How did I mock your blackness?
I don't remember it verbatim. I just remember the feeling.
That's generally. Just paraphrase. Tell me why
I
I
literally
mocked.
don't remember. I can't.
So you're full of shit again.
Fucking, bro, Norm, it's been
Are you
too
the
long.
biggest liar on the app?
You got it.
Truth?
You got
What's
me.
that? You are?
You
I
got
got you? Okay. Let's change the topic.
Please.
Let's change the topic.
Yeah, just how long are y'all gonna do this for? Yeah,
Can we agree that Trump is the best president we've ever had?
absolutely. If we could change the
Yeah,
topic, yes.
I don't agree with that.
Can we agree that Trump is better than he is bad?
No.
Trump is better than Jesus.
Who
Well,
just said
I
that?
thought Trump was Jesus, but I'm not a Christian, so maybe
No,
I
he's
don't.
the first Jewish
can
president.
we-
You didn't hear? He's the
Never
first
heard
Jewish
that.
president. That's what.
okay, can we agree that Trump has done good with his policies?
But this is a racist country, so we'll probably never have a Jewish president. Although we had a black president. But that's,
2028.
Look, they tried a whole bunch of times.
CM doesn't like Trump. I don't think Truth does either.
I think Truth is
I mean,
now
look, I didn't-
reconsidering his entire epistemology.
I mean, look, I wasn't a fan of the policies of Mitt Romney, John McCain. I loved Ron Paul on a lot of things, but I didn't agree with him on everything. Trump is a whole different bag of dick. No. It's a big NO from us on the left. Nope. And play dumb if you want. You guys used to be apologizing for him, but now that you know it's his last term, you're like, yeah, suck it.
You think he's a?
I
That's why he's doing all that crazy stuff.
Do you think he's a PDF file?
No. I think he's a predator, though, and I think he fucks minors.
If he's not a
Rapes
PDF,
minors.
he's covering up for him.
Elmer, you agree with that, Elmer?
What's that? The Trump?
That he has intercourse with minors and that he covers.
That's the. If he's not,
This is a sick projection from people who have sexual perversions, and so they externalize it and project it on celebrities. You're part of our culture.
No.
They're obsessed with this. They bring it
Can't
up
believe
all
I
the
got
time.
corrected on that by Norm. God damn, bro.
Yep. You can take
Ain't
that
that
to the
a-
bank.
That's one of
You
the
can
most
take it to the bank.
uncanny moments of my life.
But yes, it was. And here is the best part. You listen to
Yeah,
that
I'm a
music.
mental elite. Norm, I'm an
You didn't know
Norm,
about
Norm,
you didn't know about the
Norm,
you didn't
I
know
grew
about the
up
movie.
with
You didn't
that,
know
and I
about you
criticize
didn't
my
know
friends
about
for
the
listening
movie.
to that too when
You
I was
didn't
young.
know about the Academy. You didn't know about the Academy Award nominated documentary called Tupac Resurrection.
No, Tupac
Do
is
some
different.
research.
He's more cerebral. That's not. And also, I know like all his.
Oh. So you
Wait,
didn't know I
since I was a kid,
produced
I'm
an
a-
Academy Award-winning film about Tupac, right? You
I
didn't
mean,
know that part.
it's one thing to have. It's one thing to have a movie.
No, I asked you a question. It was a yes or no question.
Did I
You didn't know that, right?
Didn't know.
Did I produce? Did I
Did
produce
you
an Academy
produce?
Award? Yes.
What?
Yes.
All right, motherfucker. There's your roses. That's incredible. That's kind
All
of
right,
badass.
motherfucker. All right.
You got me.
Afeni was my son's.
That does explain a little bit though, because
Afeni was my son's godmother. I can show you the emails.
What?
Yeah. I hung out with her on her houseboat in Sausalito. She cradled my son in her arms, held her up to the sky, and said, "You've just come down from heaven where you've been with my son. You have so much to teach us." Yep, that was Afeni.
Bro, that's.
We'll surprise you, Truth. We'll surprise you. Us shekel types.
I'm not.
We us shekel boys.
Bro, my middle name is
Us
Aron.
shekel boys. Your middle name is what?
Aron.
And?
Hey, well, you tell me. Okay? So, then stop with the...
My name is Norman. And?
Yeah, that is kind of funny. Wait,
There you go. Yeah. Could go two ways. By the way, did you check out my NAACP Image Award? I'm looking at it right here. It's on my coffee table. Check it out. You should read profiles.
That's pretty.
I'm looking right
Norman's
at
a
it.
gangster, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty gangster. I ain't going.
Some people
that
call
explains a
Black
lot,
Oscar.
too. That's why he's so,
What's that?
he's like the street professor.
He's wrong about everything, but he's cool.
But he's
cool as fuck.
entertaining. But he's entertaining as fuck.
No, that's pretty dope. So you fuck with Skrilla? Now I'm cornier than Norm. Get the fuck out of here. It's fucking crazy. I'm just picturing you rolling through the city blasting that shit. I love it. That's badass.
Hey Norm, did you happen to see the video angle when she put the car in reverse to turn the wheel before she put it in drive?
Yeah.
And her partner was on the other side of the vehicle trying to all of a sudden grabs the door handle.
I saw that.
And the car was in reverse.
The
and
door
that
was
puts,
locked.
Yep. And that puts that person in harm's way too. She's backing up a vehicle, potentially running over even her own partner because she's being irresponsible. These are all little things that get brought up into a case. So, I mean, this is why the people who don't look at the law, they look at the emotion of it and they don't pay attention to what it really states there. And that's why I was saying earlier, it's not about what we see. It's about reasonable perception. The guy who first pulled the trigger might get away in the second shooting. The guy hitting him in the face with the bear mace is not going to get away. That guy's going to jail because you can't hit somebody with something in your hand. So these are the things when you're looking at it, you got to look at, okay, reasonable expectation. Everybody wants to look at it from a spectator's perspective. And I often say this. How many times have you watched the video? I've watched it 50 times. Okay, an officer doesn't get that. He gets 0.3 seconds to make a decision in his life or death. So we have to look at it in what the law states is the reasonable spot. Now, we also have to remember it says others. It's not just him that could be in reasonable personal bodily or what is it, severe bodily injury, but others. And could somebody back over somebody when they're not paying attention and looking at their partner getting into trying to get into the passenger side? Yes. So this person was acting unreasonably. And that's why in this case, there won't be charges. It will get dropped. The state will try. It won't go anywhere because of the supremacy clause. The second one will have some charges because you can't hit somebody in the face. They're going to say, we don't know what he was trying to grab when he was pulling, because he jumps on top of that woman and then he grabs her bag as they're pulling her away. Right? Why was he pulling her off of the snow? She was off on the curb. Leave her be. So they can say at that point, they're going to say, hey, We thought he was reaching for something. We didn't know. Okay, he had one gun there, but did we know if he grabbed something else? There's going to be all sorts of things that come into that one. But the bottom line is the guy who was hitting him in the face with the bear mace, he's screwed. Because there's no doubt he violated the law.
Could I chime in, though, because I think, and this comes from a law school dropout, but I practice in the legal field. So, but I went to a finished law school. The one thing that you have the reasonable person is correct, but they don't ever factor in an unreasonable person for the other side. What they do consider, though, if that the other party is withdrawing from the situation, then the reasonable factor does not always stay into play. So if someone removes themselves from an active threatening situation, such as back up the car, try to turn to alternative ways. Yes, he can say, I reasonably thought she was going to drive against and hit me, but he shot as well when she was backing up. So that can be the conflict that may come and to be questioned. Just because an officer of the law, they do have sort of implied immunity, right? So he can get away with it anyway. But there is a concern that you can sue based on a civil case if the partner and other people and surrounding witnesses can say that there was intent to withdraw, and the other people can still show that. But of course, the victim is dead, so you really can't really prove that point. So it's going to be, I think, a stalemate. But as on the other case with the bear mace and the gun was removed from him. There was no threat. There was no visible threat at all. And you have the right to carry in a state like that. There was no reaching for the gun. So that one, they're going to lose the case on that.
Okay, Bree, can you tell me what it says about when somebody is attempting to flee and committing a potential felony? Do you know what it says with Renee Good in that? Because when they detain you, when they tell you to get out of the vehicle, you're detained. And if you attempt to flee, you're not withdrawing yourself from the situation. You are considered escalating it.
Yeah, that's if you were an officer of the law. They're ICE officers.
Yes.
They're not necessarily officers of the law. They do have federal jurisdiction.
They're federal officers. They're federal law enforcement by law.
They're law enforcement by the federal, but they are not necessarily have the same
I don't think that matters.
Here's the deal,
bro.
You're more educated on this than me, so I just want to ask you the simple question. What law is supreme to the state of Minnesota? Is it the state law or the federal law?
Well, you know that I think you're seeing it different. It depends on the jurisdiction of the action, right? Federal law. Well, you've got to look at the case, the whole factor. You just can't come up with a blanket just like voting laws. The voting laws, for example, if we just go it up to see what our current president's trying to do, the state has supreme over the laws of which the voting, unless there is some type of evidence to show that there is malintent.
In this case,
but in this case, depending on criminal elements, right?
This woman
the
is
Supreme Court has said different.
No, I'm not. You didn't let me finish the entire case or the whole situation because the supremacy of the federal jurisdiction, yes, can fall into certain cases. But you can always have case conflict in terms of state. Yeah. But you can have state also. That's why you have a federacy, right? You have a federacy, and so you have state. You have state laws that may have the right, and that's why you either you will go ahead and appeal until you get to the Supreme Court that will question what authority was in play and who has rights over. But when it comes to certain laws, whether it's interstate,
shut up. Seriously, you don't know anything about it.
I don't even know what you're saying, Bree.
I think you're absolutely wrong. You have to.
Hold on, one sentence. I don't take long. Federal or states, you're allowed to run from a cop on foot or in a car, either one, and they cannot just empty the clip on you. That shit is not a thing.
Look up
It is not a thing. Federal or
Blumhoff 10-second rule. There's 3 court cases. Everyone in the room should know. Go research and then come back try and have this conversation. Gardner, Plumhoff, and Graham.
Yep.
All of this is under the Graham test. Plumhoff 10-second rule. Wrong. They can fire if someone is fleeing. If they perceived danger or danger to the public. In my opinion, there was no Blumhoff here. Okay? But the Graham test is what would determine whether this was justified or not justified. If Bree wants to define what Graham test is, great. If she knows what it is.
Yes, I do. But what I'm saying is, I'm not here to justify you. You don't pay my bills, and I get probably a lot more money than you do.
I bet
The
you
point
don't
is
pay
that
your
because I'm a
bills.
professor too, I'm not looking to
You're
get
not.
my accolades from you. Your
You're
little
not a
minion
professor.
world here on here doesn't make me.
You're not a
I don't
professor,
cry just
Bree.
because you want to have
Shut up.
authority.
You're not a professor. You're
No,
not.
I actually am.
You're
You
not.
can Google me. Yeah, you can Google me.
You're not a professor.
What? I am a professor, but I don't. I teach international law. Yes, I
No, you
do.
don't. You definitely
At San Francisco State, yes, I do.
don't.
Yes, I do.
No.
All right.
Go ahead and Google me.
Hey, Andrew, did you bring Abby?
See, you're just jealous, so you're trying to.
Bring up
Andrew,
Abby.
could you
There's
bring
no
Abby?
way someone this dumb is teaching kids.
Well, hey, you know what? You've got a problem then, because then I'm not teaching kids. I'm teaching adults because when they're over the age of 18, and I teach,
Okay, but what does that matter?
you know, defend your my
position
seniors
based on the
and my
Graham test.
graduate students.
You're arguing over bullshit. Defend your position based on the Graham test. You say you know what it is, so defend your position based on the Graham test.
I don't have to defend myself on the Graham test. What I already told you
Then
is
you
that
don't
that
know what
does
it
apply.
is.
No,
Then you have no
I
idea
did
what it
say
is.
that, but
You
again,
didn't
it's about
explain
the
what it
entirety
is.
of the
You
case.
claim you know what it is.
We're only no,
Just
we're
explain
looking
it
at
if
the
you can't
entirety
defend
of the
your position
case.
based on it.
We're
Just
talking
explain
about
what
the
it
entirety of
is.
the
If you
case.
claim you know it but can't explain your position on how the Graham test would apply to this case or not. Because if you
It would
can't
only
explain
apply
what
if it's under the Fourth
name
Amendment.
the
So
three
it's
checkboxes.
objective and reasonably, right? Under the Fourth
That has
Amendment. That
nothing
is
to do with
it.
the Graham test.
Yes, it does.
What are the three checkboxes on the Graham test?
I don't remember the
Because
whole.
you don't
I'm not
know
going to
the
go through the
Graham
elements of the
test.
checkbox.
You don't know the Graham test,
Yes,
or
I
you
do
would say
know
the
what
three
the-
checkboxes, and you would be able to give your opinion. And here's what's fucked up is I could make your argument for you better than you can based on the laws that apply, which is Graham, Gardner, and Plumhoff. And if Andrew was just awake, Abby would come up and she would back
Dude,
me
you
up. I'm
just
pretty
spent
sure.
the last 20 minutes
No,
researching
I
this
knew
shit.
about this months
So, no,
ago.
you didn't make
You
the
don't
case.
even know
You
what the
didn't
Graham
make the
test
case.
is.
You didn't make the case.
What?
Dude, you didn't bring it up. Well, if you felt so adamant about it, you would have brought it up when you first researched it.
I did.
Oh, come on. The issues that you already know is the severity of the crime, right? But there's the severity. Well, how severe? I said,
Correct.
when I
That's
told you
one.
at the very, no,
What's two and
when I
three?
told you, let me finish.
What's 2 and 3?
When I told you at the very beginning, you have to look at the details of the crime.
What's
Right?
2 and 3?
I'm not going to go through the other ones.
Because
And then
you
you
don't know
already
them.
know about the threat and as well
Because you don't
as
know
well
them.
as. But no, but one of the pieces is
Because you
active
don't
resistance.
know them.
I didn't think Good was resisting, so you can't win on the case because Good didn't
You
resist.
don't even know the next 2 checkboxes. You can't even make your
Yeah, there
argument
is.
based
And
on the test that
split second
applies.
response, dude. There's 4. Didn't you say 4?
No, there's 3.
No, there's 4 actually.
No, there's 3.
No, there's 4 actually.
Okay, then name
There's
the
4
4.
ground factors. Google it.
I have Googled it a long
No,
time
you
ago.
didn't.
Tell me
No,
what the
it's
4th
4
one
ground
is.
factors, dude.
You're telling me there's 4. You can't even name the 3. Okay.
No,
so
I
if
did
I'm
name
wrong-
3. The severity of the crime, the
That's one.
immediate threat, active resistance, and split-second judgment, right?
Nope.
Whether you are tense and you're so dude.
That's not.
I'm not. No, that's 4.
That's not the
What
Graham
else do you
test.
want to do?
That's not
And
the
in
Graham
it,
test.
dude,
I have no idea
those
what
are
the
the
Graham
elements.
test is.
Where did you learn it? In your first year
That's not the
pre-law
Graham
class?
test.
No, it is the Graham test.
It's not. There's
It
3
is the
checkboxes.
Graham test. 4 factors in the test.
She just Googled this and now she's.
No, I'm not going to argue. I don't Google.
There's
No, I went. You know what? I went
You
to the
said
Thomas.
no, then you rattled off
The
what you were
best
reading.
law school. I went to Thomas Jefferson down in San Diego.
Andrew,
Thomas Jefferson in San Diego is not the best law school.
University, and I went to other schools. So, dude, I'm not worried about it. I'm not trying to prove my love. I work at one of the best top companies in the nation, in the
No, you
world.
don't.
So I'm not sweating shit.
So then you would explain that actively resisting or fleeing is
Finally.
correct?
Finally.
But I did say that though. I said that at the very beginning when I got on stage. Was she withdrawing?
Hold on.
Why don't you go through the fact pattern and then try to apply the law?
That's very true.
Okay.
The facts
so let's
pattern.
Do,
and I don't know the whole fact pattern of the case.
Hold on. Let's do this Socratically. Let's go through the fact pattern and then let's cite the law and then let's apply the law. Okay. So in the fact pattern, which case do you want to take? You want to take the second case? You want to take the case where you have someone who is approaching them.
Yes.
And he has a weapon on him. And he is approaching them with force when he's approaching them. Correct?
In that case, he wasn't approaching with force.
Yes, he was.
He was approaching with force. He went within the sphere, within the area, the boundary area. And
you have to define with force, though, because you have to have the elements of with force. Because he didn't have to, he did not show the gun. He did not intentionally. You have the right to carry in the state.
He didn't. It's what's in the mind of the officer at the time.
The gun wasn't visible at the time.
It's what's in the mind of the officer at that time.
You need to understand something. Bree has been reading Twitter, and
no, I'm not reading Twitter. I'm watching. I watched the videos.
Just let Abby go here. Just let her.
It's what's in the mind in this scenario. Okay, the police use force. They have to objectively have a reasonableness, and based on Fourth Amendment, and it requires them evaluating the force based on their perception of the scene, what they see. If the police see this person approaching them with force in their mind, in their perception, they then can have the reaction that they had. Your argument is the guy just came up friendly to them. He breached an area, a boundary area, and he presented in their minds reasonableness, and they hit the standard that they have to hit for them to, in that split second period of time, and you want to go pursuant to Graham versus Connor, then in that split second or 10-second or whatever the period of time, they made that determination. What
Abby, could I chime in before that? Because that is at that split second. The guy was, by that time, if he was considered a reasonable threat, he was on the ground, right?
At that point,
proceed with force. We're talking about that. By that time, they've already disarmed him.
No, they didn't.
I don't know if he had, first of all, you don't know when he got disarmed. Number one, you don't know if they had reason to believe he had a second weapon. They didn't know how many weapons. When someone comes up with a weapon and they're aggressive with officers, there's reason to believe that he potentially will be harming those officers, whether it's the gun in the back or another gun.
He was disarmed by that time, was on the ground. His hands were showing. He was on the ground. They shot him in the back.
You're missing this. They have reason to believe at that point in time that he presents harm, and they have to at that point act. If you're going to say he mitigated it by caring about the woman, or what else was in that fact pattern, he didn't mitigate it. He approached them with a he didn't softly approach them. He approached them aggressively. So look at the Graham.
So he was going to aggressively shoot them with
so the severity of the crime is that he had a weapon when he was going at police officers.
And the phone was the weapon because the gun was invisible.
No, the weapon was on him.
No, it was in the back pocket, and you're allowed to carry it.
Had
another video, you can see the weapon exposed earlier in the video.
He was holding a phone.
And so he proposed an immediate threat.
That's conjecture.
He proposed it doesn't fucking matter if you think it's conjecture. If the officer thought it was conjecture, that's the point. It's what's in the mind of the officer. If it's reasonable that the officer could have had that conjecture, that's the standard. The second thing is the suspect posed an immediate threat. that he actually posed the threat. The reality was he did pose a threat, and whether the subject was actually trying to resist arrest. Was he trying to resist arrest?
It also has to do with what a reasonable officer make the same move in the same circumstances.
Can you also breach the topic of, yes, you are allowed to carry, but only for lawful purposes?
Hold on,
Exactly.
Abby,
What
can you
crime
back
did
me
he-
up on this because
He was recording.
if you look up the legal definition between protest and riot, that actually changes as soon as any group of people creates threats, violence, vandalism, interferes with officers. There is a very small window.
That's right.
Once that happens, guess what happens? Your 1A and 2A go out the effing window. You just changed it to riot, and therefore you are not legally allowed to be carrying, which means you should remove yourself from the position in the area. He should have left, went, put his gun in his car, and then came back. You are required as a gun carrier. Now, I'm gonna stand on this as a leftist. I am anti-2A, and you shouldn't have a gun. Oh, there was a violent situation, and he had a gun. He deserved to get shot. That's how I've heard it before, posed. But here's the real situation. What we really should be saying, and most people would say, is it started to get violent. He should have taken his gun to his car and removed that gun because things can get out of hand and escalate quickly. That's what should have been done by law. And when you're in carrier,
bullshit, bro. That's when you need your gun.
if you've ever been to a U.S.
The same Second Amendment people are the ones with class.
They will fucking tell you when an officer comes.
I have enough
You
guns in my
own a
life.
gun.
I can get a gun if I want to right now.
I know you don't because you are fucking. Don't.
You're also-
the facts are.
You're also missing the bigger component in his jurisdiction here. He's a federal officer. It's a federal officer in the act of a federal duty. Did you hear what I just said? It's a federal officer.
I'm going to dispute whether it's a federal officer
May I
or a federal
finish?
duty.
It's a federal officer.
I'm not disputing that. So
in the
that's
act
not
of a
my, that's
federal
my,
duty,
that's not my target.
where
I still feel like
in
there's
the wild,
conviction
wild
in the
world of
pricing of a weapon.
sports, where does the state get jurisdiction? Tell me where. Federal officer in the course of his duty, as in his job as a federal officer.
You can always contest it. We were talking about that.
How?
I'm
How?
talking about it in the case of the voting rights, right? You have the constitutional rights of the state separation of power. So
That's irrelevant to the
no.
supremacy
I
clause
brought
here.
it up because there's no blanket rule of the federal government always having supreme, except for in certain parts of the voting
There is
rights.
most certainly. It's an amendment to our Constitution.
For example, if I make my voting rules, you can't override my voting rules of the state.
They can if they decide to.
Can if they decide
Unless you got permission from Congress. So
You are so
Absolutely.
dumb, dude.
it's federal, but
It's federal, but the federal have the right to override.
unless
If it's
but
you have the
you have
state-
a balance
sweetie,
between state and
listen,
balance.
Listen, what's your
you
name?
have
Right,
a
Bryce.
balance. We know
Listen,
that the federal
the
court,
state
but
has
you can't.
state under the 10th Amendment
Always,
has
you
been.
can
Let me
always
just get this out.
escalate.
The
You
10th
can
Amendment
always
is
ask.
granting the state the policing power for the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens.
Yes.
Okay, their governing power, health, safety, and welfare. However, it's subject to the supremacy clause. If it conflicts
True,
with
the supremacy
the
clause
Supreme
right there, but I'm still going to the point of the voting rights. But so in terms
any
of
of these laws, voting, it could be health, safety, and welfare of the citizens. If they do something that is contrary to
so you're
the
making the
federal
argument
law,
then of an authoritarian
The
government,
state
fascist
of-
government,
yeah, the state
at which
of-
they feel that if they're going to riot, then this upcoming election, then the federal government has the right to go in and just usurp all authority of the state, right?
Well, hell, didn't JFK do it? Didn't JFK send in his troops to do exactly that and take over the school system in Georgia or then
He
in
didn't
Little
stop an
Rock?
election, though.
What is the difference
I'm
of
just
going
using
in?
that as an example. He used that for the integration. of the
But
schools.
an
We
election,
understand that.
if you decide you want to have a bunch of non-citizens go to the voting polls,
Oh, I love you as a conservative.
and the feds want to come in and clean up the voter rolls, in a state, because the voter rolls in the state are
You've got to prove that. You have to have objective
non-residents
evidence.
and not.
You can't have conjecture. You have to have objective evidence.
We do have evidence. My state cleaned 150,000 names off the voter rolls in the last cycle. 150,000, and we're a small state. So you absolutely have reason.
11 times presidents have actually sent federalized troops and sent.
Thank you.
So just so you know, 11 times. In our
Little
history.
Rock.
Yeah, Little Rock.
Kennedy did it. Then Clinton did it. Johnson did it.
Washington, Lincoln.
Yeah.
Biden. Biden did it at the Capitol.
Yeah, supremacy clause doesn't go away.
I never said it went away.
Bush twice.
You can always, if there's a gray area, you can. For example, when it comes to the voting, but yeah, the supremacy clause does overrule. But in the case of certain rights, human rights, and if it goes against or citizens' rights, then
citizens' rights.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by citizens' rights? The power of the state to control the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens.
Yeah, but for example,
those rights.
If it's my First Amendment rights, my freedom, as well as my consent, then we can go ahead and that's why you have the right to petition when there's situations like this.
Wait, I don't understand what you said. Say that in English, because what you said made no sense to me.
The supremacy clause, yes, you have the state over, you have the federal over the state, yes. But when you're citizens of your state, either don't have due process because of the issues as it relates to their First, Second Amendment, whatever amendment we want to go through.
If they don't have a due process, with what respect? Give me an example.
Due process, let's say.
I know what due process is, but give me an example. What is happening? Give me a fact pattern.
I can give you a fact pattern
that you think will kick in to
citizens that are not
only be
getting
the
their due
state.
process when they're thrown in ICE jails, who are U.S. citizens,
Oh, well, here we
but
go.
do not have.
Here we go. Is that your only example that you can
No,
give?
but you asked for an example. I didn't.
So that's your only example you have?
No,
Well,
I'm
that
just
one's an
giving you
easy
an
one.
example.
That one's an
I'm just
easy
giving
one
you an
because
example.
they're committing a federal crime.
Are they committing a federal crime by protesting?
Absolutely.
Don't they have the freedom of assembly and to protest though? Don't they?
Are they non-citizens?
Not once snowballs.
No, I said U.S.
Violence
citizens
happens.
that are held.
Well, you didn't say that.
I did say that.
You're saying a U.S. citizen.
U.S. citizens. I didn't
Okay,
say
slow down.
non-citizens.
Slow down, sweetie. A U.S.
No,
citizen.
don't call me sweetie. I'm not your baby.
Honey.
I'm not your sweetie.
Honey, it's a U.S.
No, I'm not your honey either. You're diminutive.
US
We don't
citizen.
need that. Yes, I said U.S.
Somebody sensitive.
No, I'm not sensitive.
Yeah, you
were
are.
sensitive
He
earlier.
was doing it in a considerate way. In your
No,
case,
but I don't
a
like
different
sweetie.
way.
No, that's like
Listen,
no.
sweetie, I've been telling you
It's
a lot. Reading it from the book.
condescending.
Yeah, I'm reading.
Keep it
I'm reading them all too. I have my.
I'm trying to, Vima. I'm trying to.
Yeah, let them have their
I
conversation.
can't get that. I can't get her to see this. You've got to, when you talk about law, you've got to, don't talk in abstract. You have to talk in specifics.
Well, I gave
in
you the
order
case.
to illustrate it.
I do
So
that.
now your hypothetical is a U.S. citizen that is getting detained incarcerated
In
for
ICE
protesting.
detention,
No,
It's not
stop
protesting.
for
I
a
said
second.
ICE detention.
Hold it. You have a U.S. citizen that is being detained and being incarcerated as a result of protesting on behalf of the movement to get rid of ICE. Is that what you're saying?
I would say yes.
Is that
They're
so?
not
That's your
impeding-
fact pattern.
They're not impeding their.
Wait. Is that? Hold on. Slow down. Is that your fact pattern? A U.S. citizen out protesting against ICE being in the country, and they get arrested and get detained or incarcerated. They get incarcerated.
Yes.
Okay. So what is your concern about that?
That is
What's
that's
the problem there?
well. That's where I'm saying, as a citizen of a state. Let's say I'm a citizen of the United States, but also a resident or a citizen of Minnesota. I am now illegally. You break down my door because you don't. ICE agents don't. They are not issued. They do not have the authority to enter your house.
So wait, you're out. Hold on. Are you outside at a protesting?
Well,
Where are
they
you?
have. There's two things. You can protest and you can go to your home. Let's just give you the scenario, or you're out there in public and you're detained, and then they can find you.
You're out in public.
And then you
know
are
your facts
detained.
clear.
That's my facts.
You're out in public.
public.
Are you with a
You
gang
are
of
protesting.
people
Let me give you the
shouting?
elements of the
Are
case.
you banging on cars?
No,
Are
you're
you
not doing
putting-
anything that is destructive to the property.
So what are you doing when out protesting?
You're expressing your First Amendment rights, right?
How?
You have the right.
I know what your rights are, but how are you expressing yourself? Give me your facts. Get the
Your
facts
facts
out.
is that you're holding a sign, right?
You're holding a sign
Yes,
outside.
and you're telling, hey, you're not wanted here.
Okay,
What else
so
do you want?
you're holding a sign saying you're not wanted here and you're outside protesting. Now, I have a question. Was that protest a permitted protest? Was it permitted? Was it
Yes,
permitted? Let me finish.
Okay.
Was it permitted under time, place, and manner restrictions under our law?
Many of the protesters are not going to be permitted, right? Because
No, that's that. Actually, you're wrong. It's a very strict level of scrutiny to deny.
It depends.
May I finish?
Yeah, yes.
You asked a question. They actually use the highest level of scrutiny in order to, in any way, limit a protest. However, a protest still has to be within the confines of time, place, and manner restrictions.
That's true.
And manner restrictions because of what I said earlier. The issuing authority is protecting the health, safety, and welfare of their citizens. So a protest has to have some limitations and they get permitted. So you're now outside holding a sign, I assume with other people around you. Is it a permitted protest? Is it at the right time of day, or is it in the middle of the night? Is it in the middle of the street? Are you chaining yourself to streets? Are you blocking traffic? What's the manner that you're protesting? Are you protesting in a manner that will be an obstructed manner for the free flow of commerce that day? So those
first
are
of all,
things.
a protest
Do you
does not
understand
have
what
to
I'm
be
at?
to be
Does
legal,
anyone
though.
else want to jump?
No, I'm going to chime in because a protest doesn't have to be permitted to be legal. You didn't let me finish real quick. A protest does not need a permit to be legal. As the First Amendment
most
protects your
certainly
right
does.
to
It most
No,
certainly
it does
has
not. It protects your
basement.
right to peacefully assemble.
Wait, hang on.
That is what it does.
Does government have a right
protect your right
to? Does the
to
government have a right to
peacefully
time, place,
assemble.
and manner restrictions?
The government can require permits for certain types of public events.
Somebody else want to take this?
Well, I just looked this up, and I mean, maybe this is wrong, right? It's an AI overview, but it says you generally do not need a permit for small protests on public sidewalk.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
I mean, well, okay. If you see, I thought I was reading you as implying that every protest needs a permit.
No, if you're five people.
Hold on. Okay, Deepak, hold on. Let me read the official.
But if you have a
protects the right to free speech and peaceful assembly. City regulations, Minneapolis, law requires a special event permit for assemblies that impedes traffic. 2, occupies parks or public property beyond ordinary use.
Thank you.
3, include amplified sound or large gatherings of 50 people or more. This is consistent with U.S. Supreme Court precedent, e.g., Ward versus Rock against racism in 1989, which allows time, place, and manner regulations as laws as they are content.
Okay, wait, I don't understand how this is contradicting. Wait,
it's not contradicting. You could have your little group of people, but if your little group of people decides to take out drums and trombones in the middle of the night on a street that people live, it's time, place, and manner, and you will be arrested.
Okay, but what's the upshot of this? Like, what is Bri Vela trying to get to. Like the point
I don't
is,
know.
like,
I'm trying to explain how the law
I
works.
feel like you're asking for a lot of detail that may not be necessary, right?
No,
Like,
I'm asking. No. Because if someone gives a
He's
scenario,
trying to prove me wrong.
I'm not
that you
trying to
can't.
do that,
look,
Bree. That's actually not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get you. I'm doing. Everyone quiet. Everyone quiet for a second.
Just wait.
I am trying to do something. Just let me say it.
God's talking.
No, I'm trying to moderate here. Look, you guys can have this conversation. I'm just trying to understand the point that Bryvela is getting to, right? And depending on that, like you can ask for a bunch of details, right? The details might be relevant. I'm not saying they're not relevant. I'm just saying, let's see what conclusion is she trying to draw? Like what point is she trying to make about this hypothetical, right? Before we get hung up on the specifics. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
My point was that when a U.S. citizen can get detained, and the intent was she wanted to drive out what condition does the U.S. citizen need to have around them in order for it to possibly not be legal or legal, so that the federal government, if I understand your intent, because my scenario was to show that there are situations where due process is not followed and U.S. citizens are being detained by ICE. That is a fact. And that the First Amendment, such as the right to carry, etc., has been violated.
I'm trying to do that. I've been trying to do that. Yes. Thank you.
No, but that's all very
I was trying to get you to define in the actual definition of the event and be clear on the specifics of the encounter and the event, not in the abstract. So when you can break it down to the specifics, you can then see whether there was a denial of a due process or a right. But you have to define the case study.
Yes, but there's so many right now.
But you weren't doing that. You were talking in the abstract.
Yeah, but I think I'm looking at a lot of the cases where I do feel in this current administration.
Look. Now we know what conclusion Bryvela is drawing. Right now, specifics do you think might be relevant here, Abby? Like, in which case would you think?
What I think would be relevant is the behavior of the victim in those scenarios, whether the victim was in their law right protesting, they were protesting either at a permitted protest, or it fell within time, place, and manner. If the victim, whoever was ultimately harmed, did anything that caused a provocation, and if the provocation was something that crossed the line, that then in the mind of the officer, there was a threat. And you just have to go through who did what, who's what, when did they did it, what time of day did they do it, how did they do it. Those are all questions. When you have someone make a blanket statement, someone's denied their due process, I will never just accept a statement like that. I want to know. I got to break a fact pattern down.
Okay,
I'm sorry. That's how
Deepak, can I just read something?
And by the way, that's how you should all think when you hear these things. You should break it down.
Look, okay, Brian, you've heard like the criteria that Abby was using, right? Do you think you could point to like specific cases where you think a reasonable understanding of the law?
Yeah, my understanding of law, and we'll go back to the Alex case. Yeah, I'll go back to the Alex case because I mean, my concern largely, and Abby, I love you again. I love your insight on what the officers were perceiving. But from your fact pattern, it appears that when you look at it to Alex and those who were around, he did not approach with force. And again, That is yet to be determined because according to his attorneys and other people's attorneys, there was no force involved. He was holding a camera. So a recording, according to the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals, right? You can record. You have the right to record a police or federal agents, ICE and CBP, in public places, as long as you're not physically interfering with their work, right?
Okay, so quick question for you. Just looking at this, was there any interaction between the officers prior to that time when he approached them out in the street?
Not physically interfering with their work like that.
Yes, there actually was. You can see the video. Another video shows him being pushed onto the sidewalk and told basically to stay out of the street. Now, he has no legal authority to direct traffic or anything. He has no authority to intervene and come within close proximity of these people carrying out their duties. And so therefore, that is a breach of their security. Now, I'll ask you this. Whose obligation is it to keep every citizen, federal law enforcement, and the people protesting safe? Whose job is that? That would be the Minneapolis Police Department. They weren't on site. Okay? So they failed their obligation there. So they should have been keeping the peace.
Agent here. All right,
now,
I'm going to put all of you from here in this room.
So here's the deal. He then came back out onto the street, then interfered. Now, if you go and you look at the areas of the law, it literally talks about assault, threats, resistance to law, to federal authority, intervening.
Talking to you? Because
you're not. These are all things that are all facts if you look at the law. And if you look at the law, these are the things that are going to matter in the case. Now, he had an interference before. He was told to stay on the sidewalk. He ignored them and came at them again. Okay? So this man has a history of defying authority.
Which would then put in the reasonable mind, which puts in the reasonable mind of the officer that he is a potential threat. Because they've had a history now of his behavior. I mean, it's just...
And Abby, there's threats. They literally showed video, body cam footage of these officers being told, drop your badges, I'll fucking kill you. Many people in the street saying they're going to kill them. And as soon as there's threats, that's enough. Right? Once the threat happens...
So they're being charged with... if they're being charged, officers being charged with the crime, may I finish? His actions mitigate the possibility of a crime being committed by them because his actions mitigated it by having the prior threats. There you go.
Well, but there was excessive force, which is Fourth Amendment.
How do you determine excessive force?
Because when you look at it, they forced him to the ground, and again, he claimed self-defense. Other people,
they should have forced him to the ground, and when they shoot, they should shoot as many fucking times as they have to kill the person.
Oh, okay.
That's what they're supposed to do, and that's what the Supreme Court has said.
Because even though he had a gun, there was no reasonable.
But it said it that way.
Yeah, but I think there was no perception because he had both of his hands were occupied. So he had the phone in his hands. If you looked at the video, right? He was unarmed, even though he had the gun in the back of his back area.
So he was not unarmed. And did they know if there was a gun in his sock?
He was being pepper sprayed. He was being pepper sprayed, tackled, and he was pinned to the ground at the time he was shot multiple times.
Resisting a
He was on his knees.
He was on his knees. And we don't know if there was a gun in his ankle, a gun strapped around anywhere else.
Okay, so has anybody in here, and I'm guessing you probably haven't, Bree, but if you've wrestled, I mean, we could say get in a fight, wrestled, been in a fight, been in a situation where you're in close quarters with somebody. Are you privy to seeing what happened to his hip? Are you privy to seeing the gun on his hip? Because most of the officers didn't see the gun. Why?
There were several officers. There was the officer that took it.
I let you go.
Okay.
So please let me finish.
Okay.
So do you know what their standards are for what they're allowed to do? How many people can be on per limb? When they're on that limb, are they privy to see what's on his ankle? Are they privy to see what's on his hip? No. If I'm on his left side and I've got a hold of his leg and I'm trying to get this guy on the ground and I can't get him on the ground, four of us can't get this guy on the ground and spread him out, even on an icy road, right? What I'm looking at as an officer is
I see him. I'm on the left side. I am protected from the right side. I can't see that. What you watch? We're watching it from a spectator's position. And what you need to do is a reasonable position of the officer. Okay. Now I'm on the left side, right? All of a sudden I hear gun, and it is a split second later. The gun misfires. What he hears, I'm on the left side. I hear gun. I know all of us have a gun, so we're not going to yell, we have a gun. When we hear gun, we're thinking guy on the ground has a gun. I hear gun. I'm on the left side. I hear a discharge of that firearm. You're going to tell me that a judge is going to be like, well, you should have waited to see if that was a gun in his hand, because if you look, he did reach back to the right side. He didn't grab it. It was gone. But it doesn't matter. If I'm on the left side and I'm protected from seeing that, I have to act reasonably to do what? Protect myself and others. But say he fires the gun and misses me, but he shoots somebody on the sidewalk. Then are you going to say, well, they were beating him up and it was an accident, he shot them? Or is he going to be charged for firing that gun? But I'm going to go back one step further and go, what are the legal requirements for you as a gun toter? You're carrying a gun, concealed, and a riot, because that's what by law it is. There's violence, there's threats, and there's intervening and interfering with the officers. All of those things lean to riot. What are the legal requirements at that point? To remove yourself, the weapon, from the scene. So these are the things that you have to look at, Bree. So now I'll let you go, and you can try to tear apart the legal ramifications of what I just said that hold it to a certain standard.
Well, there's a certain standard, first of all, for officers of the law to have a duty to de-escalate, right? Even though you have a reasonable fear, I understand the reasonable fear, you still have an obligation to de-escalate, right? So when he's on, excuse me?
Hold on, he asked me right, so I'm going to say absolutely. I agree with you.
If you have
the duty
the
to
time
de-escalate.
to do it.
But when they try to de-escalate, he grabs the woman and he drags her in the street while they're pulling him off of her.
I disagree with that narrative because I think we have to see the. I'm sorry, I'm not going to. I understand, but you've got to look at the timeline and the timing of that, because at what point you can look at a video and look at the reasonable fear, right, and at which the responsibility and that
reasonable fear of who? For him or for the officer?
No, for the officer. You can look at that, but you can also look at the. You got to look at the fallacy that is the cell phone versus weapon fallacy, because first of all, he had a cell phone, but he had a weapon in the back. He never touched the weapon in the back. Ever. He had a jacket. You can see you saw the shirt go up and you saw the gun and they circled it when you saw multiple times, right? But his hand was never reaching towards that is a fact. And there is no other factor towards the reasonable fear at which the officer must distinguish between the defensive posture, which is okay, and an offensive threat. And from holding the phone in his hands, there was no offensive threat.
That cell phone was a pocket rocket. Hey, did you guys see the video that was prior to him being unalived, where he kicked the police car and they detained him?
Oh yeah, that was like a week before.
Yeah.
Ice, you left out something about the facts of the case. The CPD was brought in to do crowd control because ICE was in the donut shop trying to apprehend somebody, and the protesters were blocking ICE from leaving the donut shop. That's what spawned this whole thing. And we don't know what happened prior to the video rolling in complete detail, but CPD was there to do crowd control. Chances are a reasonable person could understand there was probably some encounter between the people they are brought in to do crowd control and the crowd at the donut shop that was further down the street on the corner, and they were pushing them away from that corner and had been for a while. And so something probably happened before this video started rolling.
Wait, so can I just read out the Wikipedia? Hang on, I've been hearing a bunch of things about how the incident happened, and honestly, I don't really think one incident is what our focus is. As a country, we just as people, I guess, we just focus on individual isolated events, and it's the whole thing that matters. But since we're talking about this, right? Look, here's the story according to Wikipedia, right? And I don't know. I feel like this is like contradicting some of the stuff I've heard just now. A video shows Peretti recording agents alongside two other civilians when two agents walked into the street to confront them. One agent pushed a civilian wearing an orange backpack 28 seconds before the first shot was fired. Peretti moves towards the sidewalk, attempting to help two others being pushed by agents. Peretti stood between the agents and a woman being pushed, quote-unquote, briefly putting his hand on the agent's waist, and was pepper sprayed by the agent. Peretti held up his hands with one hand holding his phone and the other held up to protect himself from being maced. Peretti reached to wrap his hands around the fallen woman, apparently trying to help her up. An agent shoved Peretti and the woman fell, still embracing. According to the New York Times, Peretti then tried to pull away and made no threatening movements towards the agents, who pulled him backwards and forced him to the ground. Peretti was restrained by several agents on the ground with both of his arms pinned down by his head. The agent then pepper sprayed Peretti, hit him with the pepper spray canister multiple times. Wow. Another agent in gray removed Peretti's firearm from his hip. A third agent who had been focused on trying to pepper spray the fallen woman and had his back to Peretti turned around to Peretti after hearing someone yell that he had a gun. Around 5 seconds later, the third agent drew his weapon and shot Peretti at close range, with his arm visibly recoiling in recordings of the event. There's a little bit more. When the first shot was fired, Peretti's gun had already been removed by an agent in gray, and the shooter was standing. This is just recapitulating like the salience. The shooter also had the sight line to see that the agent in gray had removed the gun, but it is unknown whether he witnessed the removal. Fired 3 more shots into the back of Peretti, who appeared to brace himself against the pavement. With one hand, Peretti collapsed, and then the two agents had fired a total of 10 shots in 5 seconds.
Where it's wrong is his hands were not restrained. He was on his hands and knees. There was one point in time in which his hands were restrained. He was moving away. He pulled his hands out of the officer's hands, and he was moving. He was not prone on the ground. He was not complying.
I thought he said that he was not resisting. I thought his voice said he was not resisting.
I don't know. I'd probably resist a person banging me with a pepper spray can,
Can I ask if this that way knows that you lay prone on the ground with your hands and legs spread? That is not...
So hold on.
Let me get in here real quick. Let me get in here real quick if I can.
The Supreme Court has said very clearly that when you're being hit on the face with a pepper spray canister, you just sit and take it like a man, right? Yeah. So that's one, Peretti.
Yeah, just stay there. Can no voice get in here, or is this just going to be an echo chamber?
I can show you the source where it says Peretti was restrained by several. So you're disputing this part, right? Peretti was restrained by several agents on the ground with both of his arms pinned down by the head.
I've watched every angle of the video, and there are times in which his hands are restrained. There's times in which they're not. There is a time after his hands were restrained where his hands were not restrained. It happened at the same time that the guy hit him in the head with the mace can. He was not complying. He was resisting arrest in every video I've seen.
You're making two different claims here. One is that there was some point in time at which his hands weren't restrained. I'm not sure what the relevance of that is exactly. And the second is that he was resisting arrest. What do you mean he was resisting arrest? He's down on the ground, right? He's gotten pepper sprayed. He's getting hit on the head.
Have you ever seen a high school
pepper spray?
What did they tell him to do? At the end of a high school pursuit, they get you prone on the ground. You're flat on your stomach. Your arms and legs are spread in what they call the prone position. He was on his hands and knees. I'm not contradicting myself.
No, you're not answering the question, though.
In what sense? You will see exactly what I'm saying, which is at one point in time, his hands were restrained by two of the officers. After that, his hands were not restrained, and he was moving around. He was not pinned. He was not prone. He was resisting. He was moving. That is
Okay,
technically
William, how can you differentiate?
Hang on. Let's just get this. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Pima. Fine, go ahead.
Thank you, Buck. How can you differentiate? I don't know. Have you ever been jumped before by more than one person? When you're being jumped, right? When there's more than one person coming at you, there's a fine line between protecting yourself from not getting hurt from everything that's happening. And then, I mean, like, yeah, you're not, like, how can you differentiate him and say that he's resisting versus trying to protect him? Know that he was trying to pick up the woman. We saw the pepper spray happen, right? Pepper spray, I mean, like, that's in your face, that's one thing. And now all of a sudden he's not, resisting would be fighting back. He was bracing down because he was getting jumped. And by you saying, you know, you can't differentiate that. You have multiple bodies. Anybody is going to rightly protect their body parts, their limbs, their face, their structure. He wasn't fighting. He wasn't punching and pushing, right? Resisting by bracing down to protect yourself by a bunch of external pressures who've just, I don't know.
Look, it's the third.
Yeah, let me jump in here. I have a question though. I've been waiting for a while. I like to jump in here. I have a question.
No new questions. No new questions. We're resolving one thing at a time. No.
We're talking about the same shit, bro. It's the same shit, Deepak.
Then go ahead. Yeah. Then just when people jump in and say I have a question, it's usually something.
Yeah, but I've been waiting for a grip. I've been real polite. I've allowed everybody to get in front of me.
Please keep it on topic.
Would you allow me to speak? Let me know when I can speak.
Keep it on topic. Okay, it sounds like he doesn't want to be on topic. I don't know. Are you going to go ahead?
Dude, you're weird. But anyway, here's the point.
Get on with it.
The question, I know, I can tell. The point of it is are any of these people paid protesters?
I fucking knew it. I knew it. That 3-second pause. That 3-second pause can tell you that told us all we needed to do. I'm on stage thinking, they're just trying to fucking give a TED talk or some bullshit. Okay, look. So Bhima, I kind of said most people I wanted to say. So does anyone have a response to that?
No, I was just gonna say, like, don't police officers do self-defense classes? They take shit like Krav Maga and BJJ and shit like that. So they should be able to, like, hold the dude down without firing off a shot and detain him. You know, I think it shows lack of skill and professionalism to take somebody's life because a shot rang out from a gun that he didn't even have in his hand. I think that shit is weird.
Anybody? I mean, Bhima's point is simply that, like, there's a difference between, like, resisting arrest and, like, protecting your body parts when you're being, like, smashed in the face with a pepper spray canister, right?
You don't force yourself to your knees again. You go face down, get your hands out, as I think it was Williams stated earlier. There's a prone position, and that keeps you from getting your face beat in. If it was me and I'm getting my face beat in, I'm putting my face to the ground and I'm covering my face and my head, just like if
that's
somebody
easy. I have to say, like, hindsight though, but when these things are happening, right? How many times have people done that and their arms and shoulders have just been broken off? And I mean, like, there's just so many things what do you mean?
You just said without hindsight, because that's exactly what an officer is required to do. And what the law states is viewing it without hindsight. Now, you're an officer of the law. How many officers get shot in the line of duty a year?
You don't want to
hear that. No, but I'm going to get it. It's a lot.
Starting to drift off topic again.
No, we're going back.
No,
to
but
the
you're trying to say, like, the point is you're trying to say he should have acted in this way, and because he didn't act this way, you know, there's a justification for the officer to act in their way. He had multiple points, multiple people touching him, grabbing him, pulling him in different ways, right? He just didn't have one direction. It wasn't just one person telling him what to do. It wasn't clear. It wasn't okay, this is what I'm doing. It wasn't get on. Do you know what I'm saying? There was people were coming from all over. And he has to. It's complete chaos in that moment.
Okay.
And I think that it's unreasonable.
What's he required to do by law? What is he required
It's
to do
not
by law?
about what he's required to do by law. It's about what actually happens.
What he's, the
Because,
law is
dude,
what
when
the
you're
judge
being
and the jury
jumped,
goes by.
when
You know
when
what the
a,
judge tells
all right, go ahead.
Do you know what the judge tells the jury before the case even starts? He explains the laws and how they are to view them and interpret the law. That's what the judge does. And so why is that? Because they have to understand what is expected by the officer and what is expected by the person being apprehended. When you start to resist arrest, the laws start to change. I beg you to please go read the laws. Don't interpret the laws, just read them.
No, that's great, but we gotta interpret the laws.
So you can have all the laws on the book. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but look,
What is this
we
guy?
have to make a,
Don't
if
look
we're
at
gonna
these
like,
cases.
oh my god.
Look at other cases where cops got shot. What type of shit was?
Okay, that's great, CM. But like, look, if we're gonna look, the point at issue is whether whatever was happening there counts as resisting arrest, right? And I still don't see it. I mean, you're saying that there's a very specific position you have to go into when the car. It's like it's like in kindergarten when they say crisscross applesauce, right? You cross your legs or you get sent to the principal's office. Like, no, I don't think that's. I suspect that's not quite how the law is supposed to be interpreted, right? Like, obviously there's behavior that's going to be clear to a jury and a judge as being resisting arrest, right? And there's another set of behaviors that like won't be, right? And from what I read in this description, it doesn't sound like he's resisting arrest, right?
So
He's down on the ground. He's protecting his body parts from getting smashed in with a pepper spray canister, right? At some point, his hands were pinned behind his waist, right? Now this other guy is disputing. He's saying he saw the video and he's saying that's not true. I mean, okay, it's his word against the New York Times, I guess, who's done a freeze frame of the whole video. But okay, whatever.
Look at my picture, and that's one of the freeze frames that they've done. They've shown this picture all over. You can see this is the point they started shooting, and you can see his right hand is free and up off the ground. It's reaching outward towards the right side. On the left side, you cannot see if he's got.
I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm sorry, but I just one frame is hard to like. What am I supposed to be looking at? Like,
what do you see in that picture? You see his backside with his right hand completely free. Nobody's on it.
I have no idea what I'm looking at. The problem is I've barely seen the
That's your evidence, bro. Are you serious?
That's a freeze frame that everybody's putting out.
It's just a limb sticking out of like a blue tack.
I have no idea what this is.
There's one person in that
You
picture.
can't see.
It looks like two people, to be honest. It's two people on the right and left, and then Alex Preddy in the middle.
Alex Preddy is on his knees in the middle, yes, and it's his right arm reaching back. You can see the other officers are standing up and they're starting to shoot. That's the point at which the gunshot started. They froze it there.
To give context, do you all understand how hard it is to get shot by the police coming from someone who's had a gun on a police officer? I have
This is not police. This is like. Yeah, but this is not police though. This is ICE.
Did you not hear what I just said?
ICE is federal officers.
Yeah, but I'm telling you it's not relevant though. I'm pointing out why it's irrelevant.
Yes, but they may not have the training as
exactly.
as the military as the Minnesota police would.
Not that the police have amazing amounts of training either in the country, but whatever.
So okay, even if we're going off the context of so you want to play semantics, federal versus local police?
Nope, I don't. No, I want to play the game where categories of people matter, right? Like ICE is not like the military is not the police for good reason, right? We don't send the freaking Marines in whenever someone's house gets robbed. They don't have the training to know how to deal with that.
That's not their jurisdiction, sir.
That's not really true.
They don't have the training, right?
It's not their
They don't have the training to do it. Not that the police have either, honestly, but they're supposed to at least.
And that was a poor example because most Marines flow into law enforcement. So that was a very poor example.
This is part of the problem. Yes, this is part of the problem with policing in this country.
Oh my gosh.
And the Marines go into cities all the time. They did it all throughout Iraq. I mean, they do that.
In war zones, yes. Yes, in war zones, yes.
So Deepak, let me ask you something, sir. Do you appreciate the quality of life America gives you?
Yes.
Right. You know that's based off of law. You know that the equality is preserved by law, right?
Yes. Yes,
So would you
very much.
agree
This
that-
is why I'm very much in favor of a rule of law and not in favor of paramilitary forces
Hold on.
under the control of the federal government. The kind of thing that I thought libertarians told us to watch out against, right?
Well, a lot of that stuff comes from that G20
Law
summit.
enforcement trains by the theory of having to operate one level of violence above what the target or what needs to be neutralized is operating.
That might be your fantasy version. Look, that might be your fantasy version of some GTA law enforcement bullshit, right? That's not how law enforcement is usually been understood in civilized Western countries.
On his persons and refusing to comply means that at that
It's
point
more
they
than
are
just
legally
law and order.
allotted
That might be your Jack Booth fantasy,
That's
right?
beyond idiotic to employ that kind of behavior as a concealed firearm.
Yes, you are. Yeah. And you talk about appreciating the rule of law in which this country was founded, right? You are a prime example, sir, of not appreciating the history at all. Of how you got this country that you neither understand nor deserve.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you are a prime example of someone not understanding, right, what the country that the principles of the country was founded on, right? That you neither understand nor deserve.
So, sir, I understand. Oh, go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
This is Deepak. So I'm just going to run with you a little bit on the training thing. So it's a different type of training that they both do, and there's both on-the-job training and all of that both do, right? So knowing that the Minneapolis PD is better trained to keep the public safe in those situations when ICE is trained for deportation actions, where does the obligation lie for the security of the people on the streets? And that means whether it's federal agents, it doesn't matter, anybody on the streets of Minneapolis, where does the obligation lie for safety?
Sorry, what specific, you're saying who's responsible?
Where does the obligation for safety for the people on the streets, every single person on the streets and on the sidewalks, who holds the obligation for their safety?
That's a great question, Ice, because this brings me to a confliction, okay, because I don't think that we need to ask permission to protest, right? I don't think any power that is corrupt is going to give you an opportunity, give you the blueprint on how to take it down, okay? But with that being said, I do know that is why we largely put in permits to protest, because it's for the cops to come out and your local police to protect you, protect the citizens, protect everybody else. And I feel that that's ultimately right. And I think ultimately that's what failed here. We can, I'm upset about Alex Preddy. I'm upset about Renee Good. I think this is really new territory that we're what is it called? Traversing right now, right? And so I think ultimately it's really about where do we want to go as a people? We're America, okay? We're supposed to be the best country in the world, okay? We have morals. We don't need to be that didn't need to happen. And there's better ways for us to do everything, but also not to just say, hey, don't protest. Listen, no, that's good. It's good. And I get frustrated by everybody that is particularly the right. And excuse me, this is very frustrating as somebody who is, built up and, I based my career. I was all right. I was a Republican. 10 years ago, the Republicans weren't talking this. Republicans, we were hanging out, bringing weapons, fully, freaking max to the teeth, loaded to protest. This is a constitutional right. This is what we're meant to do. I'm happy that our American public is showing out, they're protesting, and they're saying, hey, look, because listen, we have a system, but sometimes the course of action, right, of stopping what some people perceive to be harm, and then actually stopping the policy, it's difficult, right? Why do we protest? Specifically, we have the ICE is right under the control of the presidency, right? So what are our options?
free speech, assembly, petition the government. So what do? We protest. That's going to influence public opinion. Public opinion is supposed to influence our elections. Then the legislators are supposed to, respond to it. That's a long process. It's a good thing that we have our citizens coming out and protesting. I'm happy, right? But let's regulate that in a way that is not regulated through violent force, okay? But regulate it through, okay, let's figure out better ways to organize. So it just didn't need to happen. Whether it's we put it on our the local jurisdiction, the mayors, the governors, that they should have been out there. Yep. They should. Even your county executive. My county executive goes to every single any little thing that's popped up. That's all he does all day. He's been to every single protest. It doesn't matter how big or small. He shows up. He makes sure everybody's protected. That stuff should have had. There should have been something else there, right?
And so exactly my point. And what we had is we had a governor and a mayor just really being, let's just call it anti this administration, so they didn't want to cooperate. Now, certain counties in Minnesota do cooperate and have said they work great. And actually they've said they've gotten a little bitter because they want to take credit. ICE wants to take credit for it, but a lot of very violent people were handed over to them. Those counties, the sheriff said, no, we'll cooperate. Minneapolis was different, right? It's a sanctuary state, so we have that issue. Now, what happens is I throw this out there. There's a history in Minnesota, and we all know it. They burned a police precinct down. They've looted. They've literally set buildings on fire. They have burned cars. They've pulled people from cars. They've literally destroyed a federal vehicle, stole classified documents, stole weapons from a federal vehicle. We've watched all this happen just recently. And that's the difference. You just said it. The rights went out and protested, but they were peaceful and they had guns. Yeah, they were loaded to the gills with guns. Hold on. They were loaded to the gills with guns. And nothing happened. So this is my point. Hold on. I'm just about done. My point is there's a very difference. And the problem is the officials in every city and state should be very aware of the reality of what's going on. It was all over before these shootings happened. It was all over. With these guys being pelted with ice balls, snowballs, they get them, pour water on them, throwing things at them, pouring things on them, screaming at them, telling them they're going to kill them, telling them they were, going to beat their ass. All these things were going on for days. It was all over the news, social media, and yet they didn't do anything. But what they did is they came out and said, well, our police officer is more worried about preventing important things like murder. Well, 2 people died, and stores got beat to hell because ICE officers were inside. One, they thought, ICE officers are in this hotel, and they beat the shit out of the hotel. Now, these are the things that if you had the police in the street, you start detaining people. Shortly after that, there was some place that they showed, like 700 people got detained. The cops said, it's enough of this. And guess what happened? Everything de-escalated. Okay, that's what we have to do. But we also have to admit we've got politicians who say things in office. Now, I'm going to use a standard that was set. You can look it up for fact-check me but Trump said peacefully and patriotically walk down to the Capitol. Now, some of those people became assholes. Some broke windows. Some did stupid shit. We're not going to disagree there. But they wanted to impeach him over that. They wanted to have all sorts of problems. But we literally had people on the other side saying, don't stop fighting. Take to the streets. There should be blood in the streets. We'll bury them under the Capitol. We will do this. You kick them. You chase them out of restaurants.
All of these things. My brother.
And all of the stuff you have to ask. Hold on. 2 more seconds. Probably 5 more seconds. You just have to ask yourself.
Why are you talking about January 6th right now, man?
There was a parallel.
Is what I'm saying.
You gotta let us get on the mic, Brady.
You're literally having people in Washington, D.C. that can't get in trouble, telling the people in the streets, go do shit they shouldn't be doing. They can literally say, I didn't tell them to actually burn anything. I didn't tell them to actually kill anybody. So that's the difference. We have politicians that are fucking stoking the fires, and the people are paying the consequences.
Yo, Bima, you understand that from what I interpreted, unless I misconstrued what you said, you kind of just word salad your way to admitting that was the result of the left's impulsive ass actions. And going forward, what I challenge you to do is, because you never hear this among you law enforcement detractors, you never mention, not even one. You would think most of y'all would have like the shock value and grand name of Laken Riley. Remember that name? beautiful smile, beautiful future. Riley was all you. I mean, not never. You guys never. I get it. Pre Renee Good. That was like supposed to be a George Floyd martyr, and it failed. But just have some unbiased respect. Mention some of the other people who were like good contributing members of society and not purposeful agitators.
Yeah, I don't think that's. Yeah, I don't think that that's fair at all. I think that's fair. I don't think that you're being, take it for what it's worth. But I don't think that that's. I can't even deem you to be credible, right? Because what you're telling me is that one, you know that these people have only gotten a paycheck and that they cared zero about what was actually happening. You were able to be in their brain. You have all this magical, all these magical powers. Hold on. One second. So you have all these magical special powers that nobody else does, where you could be in the mind of these individuals and you are able to mind read because you're so special about what their intent was and what they were trying to do. That's dishonest.
Ma'am.
There have been many people. Hold on, wait a second. And especially in a sanctuary state. Guess what, sir? I'm in a sanctuary state. Do you know we have all of our Republicans right now? Hold on. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Well, sure. Well, because I'm not a bootlicking statist, okay? Right. Well, listen. Well, I actually, that might not be that argument for myself, but okay, yeah. But the point is that don't try to. You're going to discredit yourself by pretending to mind read and say that they're. Well, absolutely, because it's because it's not a logical argument to claim that they're just sitting there, and then you use these words, right? These dishonest words to say and to say an agitator. Well, I'll explain. You use the word agitator. Do you know that's a specific word? That's a specific adjective that's being specifically used from one side, and you're talking about being objective. No, sir. No, it's true. Because listen. Okay. Well, you keep listening. I listened to you. I didn't interrupt you, and I can't fight. I can't fight over you. So go ahead and speak. Go ahead and speak and get whatever you have to out, and then I hope that you can give me time to respond.
We appreciate you being a good orator, all right? But stop. It's not even a fucking
Focus on the argument, sir. Focus on the argument. All right. All you're telling me is you don't like what I'm saying, so stop. And you're interrupting, so clearly you're uncomfortable. If you can't be civil interlocutor, then step out, sir.
Go ahead.
So that's my point. To claim that you have special powers of what their intent was or what they were doing. There are plenty of people that are very passionate about this, that have been passionate about this for the past 20 years. This isn't something that's new. The only reason that I believe, this is my personal opinion because it just makes a lot of sense, is that there's going to be more of this in the news right now because of the increase in the activity, just like anything else. When you add something, when you add more fire to the flame, more fuel to the flame, there's going to be more situations, and it's going to be, it just brings naturally more eyes are going to be on it. We've increased, DHS announced January 3rd of 2026 that they've increased ICE agents. We have the most manpower ever in the history, 120% increase. We went from 5,000 to 7,000 agents the year prior to 25,000 agents. Okay, there's a lot more activity. Okay, and that's just in 1 year. So it just makes sense that the public is going to be more, especially sanctuary states. And when you have a sanctuary state, what is a sanctuary state? This is federal state power. This is the territory that I'm talking about. Like you're talking like these people are your enemies, and that's what I think is a sickness. It's an illness. The people, everybody in the United States, whether you want to call the left ill and the left sick, the left calls the right sick and ill. I think you both are sick. I think you both are sick because you don't want to sit there. We can't have solutions, and you don't reduce what's happening down to some basic principles and then just stick to them. You get so caught up in your identity with your political parties that you want to tote your political party over, and you're both so performative. The left and the right are so performative, using dishonest descriptions, right? Where are the objective people where we could sit here, we could really look, okay, what actually happened? Where does America want to go now? When we have a sanctuary state, when we don't want our police to cooperate with ICE because those people, that's the constituents of that state, right? That's representative. This is what the people want. The people say, hey, look, we don't mind that these people are here, right? Well, come and take the criminals, that's fine. But for everything else, we're going to expect prioritization and proportionality. And if we don't see that, we're going to protect our neighbors.
And I agree with you. There's a lot. Like I was outright pissed the first time when Christy Noem ran out and said something after the grenade. Shut up. You should come out and say, hey, this is an ongoing investigation. It's what they always say. They don't say anything. She did. And then she did it again in the second one. And I'm just like, you're an idiot. It causes more problems. The best thing you do is you act like a civil adult and say, we will have a statement. We are just learning of this. I'm not the freaking head of Department of Homeland Security, but I'm going to tell you what I would have said. We're still investigating this. I wasn't on the ground. I will be reviewing all video footage, getting statements from people on the ground, and we will have a statement as soon as possible for you. Simple as that. Don't play the political bullshit game that she tried to play. Hated it. Hated it with a passion. I moved from South Dakota. I didn't mind what she did there. But what she did those two shootings, I looked at her and I said, you're a dumbass. You don't immediately defend. You literally have to be, hey, no colored glasses, no blindfolds. Let's watch and let's see what happens. That's the way that both of those situations should have been handled from her. They failed miserably. Both sides, as you say, play it. And right now it's more divisive than it's ever been. Joe Manchin has talked about this. Bill Maher has talked about this. There's a reason him, Andrew Yang, and others who have ran as Democrats for president have said that they've drifted from that side. We've also watched some people on the right become pain in the asses on their side. And what we need is to have more common ground. Look at John Fetterman. This man is putting a freaking target on his back. Why? Because he says it. It's country over party. This is nonsense to call each other Nazis and all this fascists and everything else. We have one guy that's standing up loud and proud and saying, that's enough. And you know what? Maybe he should run because you know what? He'll get independent votes. He'll get Democrat votes. He might even get some Republican votes because everybody's sick of the division. Both sides are. I think everybody can admit that.
Bima, I appreciate that gynocentric viewpoint. You know, that's very typical. Very typical. Because that was a very performative, as you said, performative display of just.
And I just want to say, what do I want? I lean more right. People, when they sit to have a conversation with me, are like, well, you're not as far right as I thought. No. The law is the law. If you want it changed, you go to Congress and you get it changed. You start.
Well, you overturn it. You challenge it.
And here's the deal. You don't do it in the streets by threatening to kill people. The funny thing is you have people yelling about ICE with masks on while they're wearing masks. Well, ICE isn't coming to your house and just arresting Bima or Bob or Joe or me or Abby or anybody else. What are they going after? One thing. But guess what those protesters are doing? They're literally getting people's numbers, addresses, and doxing them.
No, they're recording your pictures via Palantir software, and they're getting your face biometrics and putting on a list.
Yeah, and we also have the evidence that they were using Signal, and the fact is there was a guy, his name was, I believe, Alex Q, who was summoned to that position 15 minutes prior. He got it. Before that, Alex Q was very active on Signal on that group chat. Since the day of his shooting, since the time of his shooting, moments before, Alex Q, I'll be there in 10 minutes, I think he said on his last message. Since he's been shot, Alex Q is no longer messaging. There's issues with that. They were literally running plates, doing those things. That's not okay. And it's all going to come to light. We can't have protests like that. I'm with you. Take to the streets and do it right. Hell, Martin Luther King, look at the shit that was said to him and done to him. What did he do? March peacefully. He was leading by an example. You don't think he had anger? You don't think he had frustration? Oh, hell yes, that man did. But he knew you don't win that way. Start showing compassion. Somebody calls you that freaking nasty freaking name, you just, I love you, brother, and just keep walking. And you know what? He got more done than anybody because he finally had the balls to say, I gotta be the bigger man.
So let me be the angel advocate here. I'm going to challenge you on it because I feel, as I'm going back to the theme of the room, you know, whether Trump is evil or etc., The compassion, I feel, has been overrated right now because, as they say, woke is dead. Being compassionate, empathetic is dead, right? I'm of the opposite mind. I believe in empathy and compassion. But what I've seen in this world, which is why the people are divided, right, is because the leaders of today, whatever side you are on, is driving the narrative that I hate you, you hate me. And the one thing that resonated with me one day was when Trump said, well, God says love your neighbor, but I say hate them. He said something, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. And if you're getting that from the top down, you're only going to spread the sickness. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, like Obama encouraged guys to fucking marry each other.
Hey, I'm not in their life. What I am is I've got 3 children that I need to raise in this country, right? And I need them to understand what compassion is. Because what I do believe, and this is just from my spiritual belief, is that it says, and this comes from me, saying we have to love one another. And by love is the greatest power to produce change. Whether, because if we're both in a boat that is about to sink, we all go down together or we figure a way to fix it.
Or if your kids' sake, you take a more staunch stance on who they follow. Having to follow some gay sympathizer ain't gonna turn out nothing good.
See, I taught my daughter to understand politicians are corrupt and they're fucked up and they'll kill people just to stay in power. And that's kind of the people we want to be running our country because it's ruthless to rule the world. And it takes a narcissistic person to be able to do what they have to do to run the world. And every politician is exactly the same. I taught my daughter to look for people that show empathy in that realm and not to idolize people like sports stars, rock stars, politicians. I didn't rely on the fact that the president of the country is supposed to be empathetic, even though they lie, cheat, steal, and murder and have for our entire life and probably the entire life of this country.
Yeah, so every politician is not evil, sir. Just go ahead and start with Abraham Lincoln, who after the Whig Party went ahead and deceived Congress to pass the 13th Amendment, take a blot on his presidential legacy. Pretty upstanding sounding gentleman. Yeah.
I'll give you that he's better than most. Sure.
Yeah, but he believed in the separation of the races, even though he did the emancipation. He did not believe in equality.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So, I don't really think that's a viable argument. I think that's what is it, anecdotal. Given what his presidential legacy reflects, you, ma'am, would be discredited.
No, I'm not discredited. He did say it in writings, what he felt about Negroes, as he would say in parentheses at that time, right?
Ma'am.
No, I'm not. I'm a reader.
She's absolutely right.
He did say
she is absolutely right.
Ma'am.
She's not.
Okay. So, Jesus Christ. See, some of y'all can't be written in the book of life. But anyway, so at that period of time, what's considered a cultural norm that's not taboo. We're not talking about something that was anywhere near present tense societal measure of what it would be now seen as. That was the fucking cultural norm. Jesus Christ, he blotted his presidential legacy to free what were still considered 3/5 of fucking humans. I don't give a fuck what he wrote. His actions have the merit. And personally, if you look at the history and the numbers of slavery, the foundational blacks, most of us are very convoluted, claiming African shit that does not pertain to us at fucking all. The Bible reiterates this. Our numbers that were affected are extremely low. Extremely much lower than what they've been taught to you and personified as in fucking school.
If you read the history books, though, the Civil War wasn't about slavery. It was about the preservation of the Union.
Well, my point was that all politicians ain't evil. And this nation, the liberties we have, we enjoy. The reason why, like, there's a fuck ton of us from all different walks of life that all want to be here and are grateful to be here is because of those men and the ideals that they had.
There's also about the expansion of the union.
I mean, those are nuances that are, you know, like attached to this great vision.
Just don't be so content with it. I think that's my if I were to give you any constructive criticism, I know you didn't ask for it, and I know you definitely won't likely consider it or care what I have to say. But it's frustrating when so many people don't think that there's better ways that things could be done, and that we can have better solutions, we can have more peaceful solutions versus constant violent back force. Always. If we were, and if you believe in all of the things that you're saying about this nation, you understand that it's been an evolution from the very first document, from the Declaration of Independence. Okay, that was a set of principles that superseded the ideals of the time, the practicality of that time, and abolitionists. Women's rights, we look to that to continue to push for the principles that all human beings are created equal with unalienable rights by their creator to life, liberty, and happiness. Right. And so what I would invite everybody to do is not be content. Know that likely there's a lot of things that we're doing wrong today that we're going to, in 25 and 50 years, we're going to look back at 100 years and say, wow, right? The next generations are going to say, what were they doing? What was grandma and grandpa doing? Well, all that they just sat back and let that happen. Like, that's incredible, because we're going to be at hopefully such better places. Keep pushing for better options, for more reasonable options. We have to stop the tribalism and stop looking at everybody as our enemies. Like, if you want to categorize somebody as your enemy immediately, I don't trust you. I don't trust you, because you're not being honest with yourself. Because you're saying that our neighbors here, culturally, we actually want to harm each other. And we know that that's not true. We know that we all are human beings. We get up, we have our little issues, we got our health concerns, we got our family, we got the kids, we got the career. We just want to live, love for the short little time that we have, praise God, take our gifts, and continue just like everybody else. So how can we maximize that for everybody and not cause harm? And just coming out and, it shouldn't have protest. So look, there's so much division. Where can you, what I would ask you to do, if you were to make a claim about anything, learn to falsify your claims. Like, create null hypotheses instead of statements. And then sit with that and present it to a room so you don't get yourself in an echo chamber.
Bima, that's literally the definition of having a gynocentric outlook. That's not the reality of the country, of our poise and magnitude and sphere of influence. I'm willing to die on this following fucking hill that this is all partially fucking laden and that pure, putrid hatred for the reemergence of definitive, lawful, order-following, statute imputing, white, Christian, straight, staunch masculinity coming back to return law and order. I swear to God, this is partially laden in that shit. Years ago, when Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice were trotting around, y'all didn't have there weren't this many hyper-focused fucking geopolitical overnight wizards. Now everybody's fucking got a fucking digestible take on how the Trump administration is making 45 fucking mistakes from Monday. You know? Fuck that. I'm dying on this hill. I might sound crazy, but fuck that.
I don't know why you keep saying gynocentric. Like, you don't think that, like, logic is
everyone deserves a chance. Everyone deserves a chance. That's not the reality, man.
So hold on. we're not talking about reality. We understand how oppressive and tyrannical and authoritarian people and human beings can be, right? Especially people that even in a conversation and are exposed to the idea and a reflection with a mirror shock. Hey, look, you're being a little, you're contradicting your own statements, okay?
Ma'am, you understand in real time there are conglomerates that hate each other's guts, but to oppose us will work together. We're facing almost destabilization of our fucking dollar. Saudi Arabians didn't renew that contract that fucking, his name escapes me. What was his name? It wasn't Carter. That they do their business deals in the dollar. The reserve.
Petrodollar, right.
But they didn't yeah, there you go. Thank you. They didn't renew that. Like, I mean, you're talking as if we have the luxuries and liberties of like the fucking, 80s or 90s, or where maybe the economy was just a little bit more forgiving and things were nicer, so there weren't certain things looming on the horizon here. Now, I'm not even talking from the perspective of considering Iran imminent, which I don't. I don't think it's imminent. I think it's retarded that we even. No, we're not. There's no way we're going to war. It's too much mutually assured destruction and too many facets. But anyway.
But isn't that the point? I'm just going back to what Peter Thiel, who's the money man behind all of these people, and which is why I think this shit is evil, is because Peter Thiel's philosophy, who funded J.D. Vance and one of the biggest donors behind Trump, he has a very different philosophy that he doesn't believe in competition. He believes in power. And power is his ultimate goal because he doesn't believe in sharing. There's a philosophy that he's behind. This is not speculation. You got to read his mimic theory, right? He believes that everybody wants to be great, and he believes that everybody wants to mimic. And you can Google mimic theory by there was a French philosopher that Peter Thiel follows. I think René Girard is his name. But one of the things that he believes is that power is not something that can be shared, but it's by differentiation. And those who have the power make the rules. And that's why the billionaire class, or you can call it the Epstein class, whatever you want to call it, they're the ones that are allowing for the destabilization, because the key piece is the more destable it gets, the more power they're able to grab because they have their assets and their money and different resources than where we have it.
That's a good concise take. I give you that. By the way, I want to apologize. I wasn't trying to overtalk you or interject. I feel like I was kind of overhogging the mic, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of let someone type it. That was a good take, though, Ms. Vila. Very concisely said, too. I like that.
But I still believe in hope and love, right? I'm like Bima. I have this internal optimism. But as I look at the reality of the money, and even if you read the Epstein files and their intent to create destabilization in regions, when regions are destable, it's up for grabs for whatever money goes in there. So like Venezuela, it wasn't the small companies or little business people that went in there. It was the big money people that went in there so that they can go ahead and export. And that's why I look at the money. As much as people may advocate for Trump, I'm not against one side or the other. I don't have derangement syndrome. I have a class issue. Maybe that's my concern. And when the access begins to become very difficult for average citizens that are not in the 1%, and I say average citizens because that can range, then we are no longer allowed to play. We're not going to be part of the game.
It's another good concise take, man. You got some good takes. I like that. Very prompt and astutely delivered.
Agreed.
Poise, too. I give you that, too. I say you got poise.
Unlike some gynocentric views.
Yeah. mic is on you, Ice.
Sorry, did I miss something?
We're waiting for your logical mic that you have, Ice. You seem to have a balanced opinion on many things.
I didn't hear the very last couple of things you guys were talking about. I was in the chatting, so I apologize. I wasn't really focused. So.
I guess it goes back to the theme of the room. Maybe Trump is evil. Changed my mind.
Yeah, I don't think he's evil. I just think he's brash. I think he's, he uses the same tactics, and they work. I mean, after Davos, you had two political leaders who do not like Trump, openly stated that they're not fans of his, but they said that they needed Trump to do this because Europe doesn't want America's fingers meddling in their business, but yet we want them to pay the bill. And it's time that Europe stands on its own 2 feet. Two separate leaders said that. And I was like, finally, this is all Trump wanted. He wanted them to start, hey, we can't carry the heavy load for everybody for all over the world. And then you're like, wait, you guys aren't the world police. Well, you want us to be. You want us to be the world's, uncle handing out the money. So, for me, I think there's the brashness of which he's always done things. And he comes out and says wild things. But in reality, he knows I'm only going to get part of that. But if I start really freaking crazy, they think they're winning, And so I think that's what he does. And he's not a great speaker. So he just kind of goes with some snide-ass stuff, And that's where he is. So do I think he's evil? No. I mean, I think he showed some compassion with some things he's done with other families. If you watched the speech today, this man is paying for a woman that nobody even knows to have cataract surgery that was there. This guy does compassionate things. But he doesn't want people to know he's got a soft side. He wants to be this big tough guy, which I think is dumb. I think it's good to show the soft side once in a while. But it's Trump. That's just who he is. So, I mean, he's a brash asshole who I think sometimes it's funny when he comes up with the nicknames. But then there's other times it's completely inappropriate. It's just like, dude, just stop. So do I think he's evil? Absolutely not. He's got all the money whatever needed. He really thought it would be easier to I can clean this up. I know what's broke because he was part of it. He's admitted that. Yeah, I know exactly what the loopholes are, and we need to close them, That's finally something that was said. Name another politician that has said that, We need that. But the problem is we've talked about this earlier in the room. The corruption is so deep. You have people coming in, and if they're broke, and in a few years, they're worth $8 million. You got one who started a wine company who's only made one bottle of $15 million or whatever. It's like, this is what's happening. These guys, yeah. And then the other one was worth $8 million, and they asked her, you were in the negative when you got here. Can you tell us how you're worth $8 million now? And she refused to respond. She just kept walking. And I was just like, and this is on both sides. There's a lot of wealth that's being generated, and I just want to say, Martha Stewart's poor ass, she just got, okay, you can call it insider trading, but somebody says, yo, shit's about to dump. Wouldn't all of us then say, fuck, I gotta save myself? Well, look what the Pelosi's did. Bought a bunch of NVIDIA before they pulled the deal off for the government. Then, after they got a whole shitload of hell about it, they held on to it for a long time. But then all of a sudden, just before they're like, okay, fine, we'll make you happy, they sell theirs. And a few weeks later, NVIDIA tanks. Don't think that they had some inside information because there were some things that happened with the contracts with the government. You don't think they knew. We let politicians get away on both sides. And in my opinion, every single person starts gaining net wealth. We need to be looking at, why did you bet? I don't think a single politician should be allowed to invest. Their close immediate family and people in their extended family should not be allowed to be investing in anything that they are voting on or passing legislation on, passing bills that might be giving contracts out. Nope. Because guess what? I'm going to call up my friend Ravella. I don't know how you say her name. I hope I get it right. But hey, here's the deal. I can't do this, but you put in $200,000 in Lockheed Martin, it'll be worth $2 million in 12 months. We can't have that happen. It's time that we put our foot down. We need a legit Doge. Right.
Actually, Shai, that has changed. The foreign corrupt practices and the corruption offices in the current administration have now closed down. People have stepped down, and there's no enforcement. The FCPA or any type of corruption is right now being squashed at DOJ. That is a fact. You can.
Right.
I never said that. I just said the current state of the corruption laws have now been, yeah, but the laws on the always men and not women, of course. We women. You're interesting. I find it interesting.
And Shay, and what you hold on, Bree. So I just want to bounce off what he just said. So and what you just said. So it's been changed, right? But has anything stopped or was anything prevented before? Well, for the last 10, 15 years compared to 20, 25 years ago, and you see this steady climb that's still beating hedge funds. But if you look over the last 10 years, 12 years, holy hell, it's a skyrocket. So what was in place didn't work. And if you don't shut it down, just like the education system, we're spending more money than anybody per child. Why aren't we going to the places that are leading and saying, what are you doing different? Let's do it that way. That's how you make changes. I'm sorry, but the federal government blew up and it wasn't getting better. Things become bogged down. I think it was Mark Cuban who said, I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, but I think he was like, you got a dollar coin. And this is Cuban, who's a Democrat. He says, you give the Democrats this dollar coin, tell them they got to sell it for 50 cents. It's going to take them 6 months or whatever he said to get a committee together to figure out how they're going to sell it for 50 cents. He goes, then you give it to Donald Trump and say, sell $2, and he just sells it, And what he's saying is the system is bogged down. When you get more people in all the time, everything just keeps growing. Government doesn't have to grow. Government doesn't always have to create laws. Government doesn't have to keep the laws on the books. The things that are killing us is all the red tape. They asked every Fortune 500 company that left, why did you leave? Taxes, number one. Number two, regulations. Two things that we keep wanting to force on them. But the beauty of it is they go to a country that has no regulations, no emissions, but we're still going to buy their stuff there. In America, you got to be clean, but we'll buy it if you go over to China and do it. And we're complicit in still buying this stuff. Yeah.
Well, that was a point, but again, I disagree. I only because I'm looking at the evolution of her. Like you said, I agree. Maybe we'll go back, but full transparency, we are decentralizing, and I'm okay with decentralization. I'm not a federalist in any way, but you're decentralizing the standards of education. And I agree with you, Ice, when you were speaking about Trump coming in and didn't want to foot the bill for the EU. But when you create an environment of animosity and you create an environment of tariffs, because the tariffs in the reality are a taxation against the citizens. It is not paid by the the importer, or well, it's paid by the importer, but not the seller in the other country. They are paid by the citizens of this country. And so what happens is that when you begin to blow up the rules-based system that we had, where we all agree, and that's the same standard that we have in the United States. We have a constitution that we agreed to go by. We have a checks and balance of the system. When you begin to challenge the checks and balance, whether it's the rule base of internal government or external government, you begin to shake the foundation, and there is no it becomes an us against them type of world. So what happens when we, of course, Shai, we're competitive and we're the best in the world, but we're not in, let's just be full transparent. We're not producing the best cars. And the partnerships that are developing based on current paradigms, people are creating relationships and trade relationships that are going to exclude U.S. What happens? You think that we want people to go and do their own thing, but when they don't buy from us, what are you going to do? Threaten them with high tariffs or bonds? They will choose to go to other people. The reality is America's not understanding, and I'm an American and I love my passport, but I'm looking to go everywhere. But I'm seeing the reality as a person who sees this country and loves the country, but really concerned about the direction it's going in, whether it's this administration or the ones before. When you begin to isolate yourself and you believe to rely on isolationism, and you refuse and you remove the competition where we become the best and the brightest in the world, and you begin to put international students and you ban immigrant, it's not just the bad immigrations. The students are not wanting to come to this country. They're going to Canada, they're going to all the other countries. The key piece to the innovation that I believe is the education that we had from many people, from people coming in and pouring into our educational systems too. That we are now, we've never been number one, really, to be very transparent. We're like number 25 or even 40 on the educational list. And now the products that we have, we don't produce our own, but we can't produce everything. We're not going to go back to mercantilism because we begin to produce everything. We don't even have enough expertise in our own people to produce everything we want to do. So we'll go ahead and buy the semiconductor chips from Taiwan because that's the way the infrastructure does. And we try to manufacture t-shirts. Maybe let's bring that back here. But the competitive stuff, we're losing. And when we're looking at rare earths being produced, and it's not that China produces it, they just learned how to refine rare earth minerals very good. We haven't decided to invest in that technology here in the United States. But instead, we decide to go into Venezuela and hope that they got rare earths. But we make policies against countries that may have rare earth, but because of other issues so we got to look at what direction we're moving in and perhaps become a little bit mindful on these relationships that we don't up.
So there's something to that, but I think that the federal government in every country, right, has to think about the relationships that it has with other countries on all levels, right? So they're multifaceted. issues with every country, and America, like every other country, has to make those types of decisions because countries don't work, like you said, in isolation. So the isolationists are wrong because everybody else in the world, like their economies are interwoven with one another, and they will continue to be interwoven with one another because no single country has everything that they need. So they have to borrow from this place and use this place to do some manufacturing and do some other stuff right here and there. As far as education goes, America's education issue is more so is individualistic. And if you look at the education system,
is it individualistic?
I'm sorry.
I don't think we're individualistic. We have a standard.
No. The American educational system compared to many other countries is very individualistic. Yes,
no, we don't have a global standard. That means, but we do. It's not.
Excuse me. There is a mandatory K through 12 education, right? Which means you have to educate your child, but you can educate your child at home. You have to make sure they meet certain criteria as far as reading and writing and arithmetic, those types of things, right? And that's the foundation is given to you by the state to ensure that you are educating your child. That is something that's mandatory. But you have vocational schools. You have various other facets of schools.
You have that in other countries too.
Very, very seldomly.
No, Germany, you have it. You have the Realschule, you have the Hochschule, and then you have the university. You have the same thing in France. You have the traditional Bac, you have the baccalaureate, you have the Bac. You have different countries. In Japan, you have the same thing. A levels, O levels. It's different.
But we're talking about these top schools or countries of schools, right? That you're talking about, which include Russia and China, which I was speaking about specifically, not Western Europe.
No, I said Japan and Singapore. They have O levels, A levels equivalent. So they're just as competitive. Okay, the standards about math. Let me just be full. We're very weak and sad at math. We don't even know our geography.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And yet people from all of these other high-level countries are going to American universities.
No, they're not anymore. They're going to Canada.
They only have it in the past
They're not coming here anymore.
So you're talking about in the past couple of years. I'm just talking about in the past 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah, but there's a trend to shift.
What those people did was they went to America, sent their kids to America, learned how those systems worked better, and then imported them into their countries. That's what happened. They learned from what America was doing. They copied it, and actually, in some of those countries, they actually have satellite campuses for the top universities in America, so that they can still teach.
But here's the funny part: they weren't American citizens that came here, though. See, if we were so good, we would be producing our own talent to that great level, right?
I'm not disagreeing.
And exporting our talent to other countries. So what I'm just saying,
allow me to finish.
Hold on.
You didn't even allow me to finish my point. You just wanted to excuse me. I wanted to finish my point. The fact is, if you ever look at Chinese or Russian education systems, which are the highest in math and
science, yeah, I understand the Russian system very well.
Give me a second, ma'am. Give me a second to let me finish. That you will see that their schools are hardcore factories, right? Their schools are hardcore factories. A fifth grader is doing high school level math and science in Russia and China that would compare to a fifth grader in America. I mean, it's astronomically different. Right, those levels of math and the amount of homework that they get per night is astronomically different. Kids are going to school from 7 in the morning until 7 at night, and then have 3 to 4 hours of homework at night. They're doing college level homework, and they're being pushed into that direction very early in their lives, and that's across the board. And not everybody can handle it. And until recently, China had a very high level of suicide rate amongst the students. It's changed over the past decade or so, but it was extremely.
China and India actually are the top at sending students out. They all come to America. There was over 600,000 of them. I think they sent in 1 year, just to give you an idea. So America's schools are still highly considered at the tops. I mean, when they send over, I think 1 million, I think it is, globally, but America is the #1 source for those. Those kids still come here and excel. There's a reason. There's the way that they've been raised to understand the education system, to respect the education system, to respect the education itself. You know, #1. #2, to say that we're not
a manufacturing superpower, you'd have to explain to me then.
I never said we're not manufacturing.
Well, you said we can't be.
No, we're not producing like we used to.
Well,
to be very transparent. Our cars.
Hold on. When we talk about cars, that's where I'm going. You would have to explain to me how Germany, considered one of the best car makers in the world, has got Mercedes and BMW here. And actually, if you want to know the truth, BMW America is by far the largest manufacturing facility in the world.
You know why? Because we have.
Hold on.
But it's because of imports, though. I'm in import and export.
Yes,
it's because of the imports.
A ton of them. Okay, we export everything that's produced here. And you know what? We now in America, BMW America makes the chips for the BMWs, and
because we're consumers.
BMW.
U.S. is the biggest consumer.
We export a fuck ton of.
Yes, but what's the country of origin?
Okay, so.
What's the country of origin, though? What's the country of origin on the goods?
So,
because it's not all U.S. Because what you have to understand is we do a lot of the assembly. We manufacture. We're not doing all the things.
What Motors work in is Woodbury Motor Works facility by March 1 year broke the record in the history of the company for the most sold.
That's an exception, though.
It's not an exception. It's been happening every year since, okay? So what's happening is BMW has grown. You have not let me finish. I let you roll, okay? BMW is now talking about having their transmissions made in America. So to say that we can't be leaders in the auto industry, you have to explain to me why BMW is so huge and saying we can do this here and we can now put the transmissions, have them made there. And you know what? Now I'm going to go with it. They're proving that literally have tests to apply how many people they can work, people line up, build cars, and make money clearly. But tariffs. We were just say taxes. Okay? Right? In math class, we're terrible. America's terrible at math. But if I put a 1 equal sign and a 1, I can interchange those, right? I can't put a 1 and a 2, but I can put 1 equals 1. And if taxes are tariffs, or if tariffs are taxes, then guess what? Taxes are tariffs. And we're okay tariffing a country in our own country to produce. We'll tariff our own country. Where does the taxes and the tariffs, who pays those? Oh, us as the consumer. It's a cost of building the products, right? So we're okay tariffing an American company, building in America, but we don't want to, we're going to take Apple, for instance. We will go ahead and let Apple lead because the taxes get too high. And they had a profit of $252 billion, of which zero was taxed. Now, they did a study on Greenville, South Carolina. If every person there spent $20 a week at a local mom and pop shop, okay, what is it, 60,000 people, Greenville, something like that? They spend $20 a week at a mom and pop shop, a little cafe, the local hardware stores. Determined that it would bring an extra $300 million into the local economy because of the way it recirculates. That's just the people spending $20 a week. What do you think? $252 billion?
It's not the same.
U.S.
No, it isn't the same. Tariffs are a blanket. It's a blanket on a product. Now, taxation. The taxation of a corporation when they do and build the facility, it's a different taxation of sales, generation of sales. It's not tariffs. Yeah, but when they sell the products, the sales of products of what's sold in Apple, they're sold. Yeah, when you're selling that, that's sales tax. That's sales tax within a region. So a city will have a sales tax. A city will have a sales tax. Every time I buy an Apple phone, it has a sales tax.
No.
See, you're seeing it differently. The feds will raise. No, actually, you're seeing the taxes difference. No, because tariffs and taxes, there are taxes on people, but they're applied in different ways. The importer pays the taxes on goods that come in, and that importer passes its cost on to the citizens, and that can be anywhere in the states. anywhere. Whereas sales, when you're talking about Apple producing $200 billion worth of and not paying taxes, that's a profit. Yes, because they incorporated themselves. First of all, they're incorporated, I think, in Delaware. But when they do their sales structure, what was going inside and how they structured it, probably most of their international sales.
Their overseas profit was $252 billion.
That's the point. Yeah. Okay. And that's the difference. Every country, every company.
Simple back and forth. You've never let me even finish. So this will be a simple back and forth. So I'm okay doing that with you. $252 billion. Let's just say that American companies, they don't pay, double pay on taxes. What would their tax share burden be on $252 billion in profits?
You're still missing the point because the tariffs.
No, you're missing my point.
Because they're going to have an incorporation outside.
And you're doing it.
No, I'm not doing it on purpose because I don't think you're seeing. No, taxes and tariffs are two different. They're still taxes, but they're not applied the same way.
The Supreme Court said they are.
They didn't say they're applied the same way. I said taxes are tariffs, but they roll down to the consumer. Taxes of a company. Taxes on the company is taxes on the company. Yep. Tariffs are taxes on the citizens and the consumers of that company.
Okay, so
of that country. So big difference.
And Apple is incorporated in California, so there's a lot of misinformation going on.
Yes, but they're incorporated. You can have an incorporation, but their legal entity, I believe, has the Delaware courts because of the tax structure in the United States. You can break it down. A lot of companies in Silicon Valley.
I don't think that's true.
Okay.
Our taxes cost of doing business. Bottom line.
Yes.
Thank you. That's my point. And when I have a business and I look at that, I look at my profits and I said, shit, I got to pay more taxes. Guess what I do to my prices? All my buildings, every single one of them goes up. Why? I'm not eating it.
Maybe not. That depends on market forces. Can you raise your price and still sell your product?
Everybody.
The point
in the industry.
The point to her long rambling thing that she completely failed on is the fact that the tariffs have brought in $5 trillion in jobs and infrastructure.
Where? Give me your evidence. Give me your evidence. Give me your evidence.
Just to make.
I'm just asking for the evidence. You're spilling facts.
Don't interrupt me.
Maybe I do, but I just need when you're spilling stuff, give me facts.
Do you have impulse control?
Hold on, Bree. Do you know that we literally had
You won't let me finish. I'll finish my
statement. We literally had nations. I'm sorry. We had the nation's leaders standing next, the fucking leader of the nations, standing next to Trump saying, we're pledging to do this, building a steel manufacturing plant in the United States. And you know what? Oh, that might be expedited because guess what? A steel plant closed in the United States, which means instead of going somewhere else, they might be able to buy that one and start sooner. Oh, so it might not be 5, it might not be...
Yeah, that pushes
$900 billion.
He's claiming 20 of the pledges. It's $5 trillion deals signed, including $500 billion for TMC to come over here and make chips in the state of Arizona. Look it up. I don't have to provide my receipts. Go look it up.
Yeah, I know TMC. It's in Arizona. That I'm familiar with. Full disclosure, I work for Google, but I'm a professor in the daytime too. So look at me. So I know that.